You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan Schwarting and Kaan Bayazit.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksiyon kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Roma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet. Ve gol!
Hello, Black Eagles. Welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast, to our YouTube channel, to our live show. I have a sense that this is going to be not the most popular live broadcast. Maybe you'll watch it back later for a little bit of catharsis or, I don't know, processing. For me, at least, I wasn't looking forward to this one, but I do kind of feel usually these podcasts are therapeutic for me. I hope the same is true for my guests, Sinan and Kartal. Guys, how much were you dreading to go live tonight? Let me start with Kartal, because I think he was dreading it the most.
See, to be honest, I feel like I went into some sort of depression on Saturday evening. So I think it was good to have the 2 days to kind of process it and get over it a wee bit. Obviously, I'm still pissed off, but I don't think I was in the mental state to go live on Saturday night. I don't know about you two. So I think.
Kartal, what's that image behind you? You want to explain that?
Yeah, so I thought I'd get an image that signifies our greatest need just now. Yeah. You can see it. Look, I'm
Quaresma.
There he is.
Let's get him back. Let's get him back.
Obviously, the image doesn't. It's not because I want Quaresma back. Obviously, Quaresma's 41 years old. He's past it.
Well,
he's basically retired now.
His career is done.
Yeah, but it signifies that we need that type of player, man. Someone that can be creative, someone that can give you that pace down the wing, can beat a man. Mm-hmm. Someone that adds that extra dimension to your game, which was a phrase I used time and time again over the summer. Oh, clearly that no one on the board listens to this podcast. Otherwise, they would have fucking signed a while, man. But oh well, it is what it is, man. And hopefully they address it in January. Again, it was a horrible game.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit, Kartal. Sinan, you actually didn't watch the game live because you had to give your little girl and her team training. So you actually went through the process of rewatching the entire match while already knowing how it would end. And I think we all were like, don't do it to yourself. But,
yeah, exactly.
But actually, the fact that you were able to rewatch it, I think you took like a little notepad and you like dotted down a lot of stuff. Because you were taking notes at least in our WhatsApp group.
In the WhatsApp group, yeah.
So were you dreading this episode or?
You know, like you said, for me, it's the catharsis of it, right? Like, I enjoy getting out my feelings, my negativity. For me, this is like our opportunity to put it all out there, let our feelings be known, and then, you know, we can kind of. Usually, we put our heads together and we come up with a way to feel better about everything. You know, eventually, by the end of the episode. So hopefully, we'll get there again today. And as far as the wing goes, Kartal, like maybe this is a good place to start things off. But yeah, I mean, we clearly need wingers. And my only defense of the board is that we thought we had certainly one, if not two. Right, Rashica is injured. That's hurt us quite a bit. I think his value has become apparent. But you know, the big question mark. And I think we all have to start asking it is what's going on with Semi? What's going on with our boy Semi Kılıçsoy? He was supposed to be a star this year. I think we all expected him to make leaps and bounds. Yeah. And not quite happening, is it?
Yeah. Let's get into the match in a little bit. Hi Mario, by the way. But let's have a look at the lineups. You just want to quick blast through these ones, Sinan? We don't need to linger on it too long.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do. I won't be disrespectful to these guys the way I was against Galatasaray. I'll give everyone a little information about these guys. Not that everyone doesn't know most of these players already by now. Kasimpaşa has famously been a thorn in our side for longer than I'd care to remember. So, in their goal, actually this was a new name, 31-year-old Greek Andreas Gianniotis. I don't know. That's a tough one. Usually I'm pretty good with Greek names. On their back line, and this was interesting. So, central defender, Yasin Uzcan, 18-year-old Turk, a name that anyone who follows this podcast will have heard quite a few times. Yeah, interesting he didn't start on the left side where he typically has, historically. Next to him was Sadik Tipinar, 31-year-old Turk. Again, a name many would recognize. He had his big chance at Fener, didn't quite work out, apparently. Their right back, 30-year-old, I thought this guy was Belgium because of his name. 30-year-old Brazilian Claudio Vinck, Winck, a name that we're all probably familiar with now, although none of us probably were on, like, Friday. 30-year-old Portuguese left back Kevin Rodriguez, who has apparently shifted Yasin Uzcan into the middle. Their number 6 is Loret Tadiku, 33-year-old Kosovan, name that's been around the league a little bit, should be somewhat familiar. Another very familiar name playing right ahead of him is their kind of number 10, 30-year-old Bosnian Haris Hajradinovic, a name that we've heard for years in the Super League, who played next to the 29-year-old Czech Antonin Barak, who's he's been around for a minute. Left wing Mortada Ben Ouanes, 30-year-old Tunisian, and of course the right side was Mamadou Fall, 32-year-old Senegalese winger, all of whom played behind their striker, the Cape Verdean 33-year-old Nuno da Costa, who a lot of us will remember from, was it last year he scored a hat trick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
AKA Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He also scored the equalizer in the 3-3 against Galatasaray.
That's right. Yeah, no, he's
I mean, last season...
It's a shame he's come on late, I guess, right?
I think
he's not so young.
last season, Sinan, I think he scored like 13 goals or something, and I think like 5 of them or something came against us because he scored a hat trick. But then I think he also scored like 1 or 2 in the home game. So
it's probably good. It's probably good. He's 33. Otherwise, we probably would have bought him like we did Muleka, or we've done a few times with those types of figures. Anyway, to our side, the more important team, as per usual. Of course, Mert Gunok was back in the goal. I never even thought about this.
Felt unnecessary, in my opinion. I don't think there's any point in rushing him back because...
Ersin was doing admirably.
Yeah, and if you remember last season against Adana Demirspor, he played while he was like half injured and he like couldn't catch a ball. And then maybe if he was fit, he would have prevented the equalizer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you all you listeners heard, but I paused as I said his name because I was trying to construct a thought here. Yeah, and it's I wouldn't say he was to blame for what eventually happened out there. The first goal, it was from a tight angle, one wonders, but
it was a great shot, man. I think
it was a wonder goal, and I mean, we'll talk about that.
Shouldn't be sneaking in from that angle, man.
No, and it was also sort of against the run of play. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. Backline, of course, we had Felix Udokai next to Emirhan Topçu. I think nobody would have had a problem with that.
I think these two were brilliant, especially in the first half. And
I know.
I don't think you can blame them on any goal. I really thought they had a good game in the first half.
Unlike Arthur Masuaku and Onur Bulut. We're not... Especially Masuaku in Onur's defense.
I didn't even notice Onur all that much, honestly. Like, I thought he started the game off okay. He had even one or two dangerous crosses. But Masuaku, their
second goal was like 75% Masuaku, but 25% Onur, because he was on the side that should have been putting some threat aerially to whoever it was that scored. I forget who it was.
I touched.
Yeah, I touched. And he was like a training dummy. I don't even think he jumped. He was like caught flat-footed. But yeah, obviously Masuaku like let that cross in terribly. So yeah, I don't know. That is what it is. Getting ahead of ourselves. In the back of our midfield was Cher and Dur next to Jedson Fernandes. For me, this was one of Cher's worst performances, sadly.
It was his worst.
Yeah. And then Rafa Silva ahead of both of them, with Ernest Mucci out wide to the left and Semi Kılıçsoy to the right, which is an interesting thing, by the way. We're seeing Semi play on the right more, which hasn't worked. And then Ciro Immobile up top, of course, who sadly went out with an injury at the half. We can talk about that, of course. Maybe we could get that out of the way. Just he's out for 2 weeks, so we're gonna have to make do with Mustafa Hekimoğlu, or maybe Semi Kılıçsoy finally gets a nod up front. But
Yeah, I mean
that's it for our lineups, folks.
I really, if I'm not on the Gio Istifa bandwagon at all. I don't even know if there is a bandwagon already. Like,
There is. I think there is.
But I can tell you one thing: if he starts against Malmo with Mustafa up top, then I'm gonna start leaning towards it, because I think if you start with Mustafa on top against Malmo, then you're missing something. I think, because like if you haven't figured out by now that Mustafa isn't ready yet for that, then you're not. I mean, there's options. Like, are they ideal? No, they're not. Like, I mean, Simi isn't playing well this season, but he's at least more mature than Mustafa is. That's maybe not saying so much, but you can start Enes Mucci up top. You can start Rafa up top. There are options. I'm not saying they're ideal, but they're, I think, better than Mustafa, because Mustafa, as soon as he came on, guys, as soon as I saw Ciro coming off, as soon as I saw Mustafa coming on, like, I had the instant feeling of we're going to lose this now, because we're essentially playing 10 against 11. And I know it's really harsh on a 17-year-old, but I don't think he had a single decent touch of the ball in the entire second half. He didn't do anything well. It's literally was like playing a man down. And I've said this before, like against Antep, when we took Ciro off. Ciro isn't just there because he's a good player or whatever, or because he's a good striker. He's also there because he brings maturity, experience. As soon as Mustafa came on, we were playing with a 17-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 20-year-old, and that in Turkey that doesn't work. They lack the maturity, the experience, and we gave the game away. First half, first 30 minutes, we were fully in control. They couldn't do anything. It's not like we were creating chances or anything. I'm not saying that, but like we were, like Felix and Emirhan were bossing them. Like, they had them completely under control, no problem. After the 30-minute mark, they started being a little bit more threatening, but still.
Although, Khan, I have to say, and I wanted to, I wanted to lead with this actually.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I kind of took it off
because
a tangent there.
No. It was well timed, I would say. No, but I just didn't want to let this thought go. Because I'd missed the game live, and actually I was coaching a match which we won, so at least one of my teams won.
How did the Knicks do?
That's true. Yeah, they're doing good. That's true. Two of my teams, but yeah, not Beşiktaş at present. But yeah, everyone was saying like, "Oh, this was our worst game of the season. There's no way you're gonna want to watch this." It was so it was torture. But to be honest, I was watching, and it wasn't even just the first 30 minutes. It was really it was until their goal, where you're right. They got back into the game in the 30th minute, and they started to kind of, I wouldn't even say like knock, but they were at least in it. They were in the match, right?
Because again, like even in the first half, like I think the first and the second goal are gifts from us. But even in the first half, we gave them a lifeline because of Masuaku twice on a throw-in. The first time he nearly gifts them a goal on a throw-in because he just gives them the ball, and then they have a dangerous shooting position. Yeah. And
it was their only real chance in the first half.
And then a little bit
like
later, Sinan, he does it again. Like, I would think if you do that, that should snap you awake. And then he gives that wonderful assist, and we score. And I just think that's such a bad thing for Masuaku, because then he just goes, oh, okay, easy mode. And then what
I did my
what
job.
he was doing in the second half, man, that's like low. That's like what's his name that we had last season? The guy that gave away 2 penalties against Bai. Bai.
Oh,
essentially, his contract essentially got terminated because he gave away 2 penalties against Fener. Like Masuaku, what he did in this game, like that's like, I mean, that's an overreaction, obviously, but like, yeah, it's grounds for dismissal, man. Like,
Yeah, no, it's excusable.
it's not the fucking first time either, right? This season. And
Con, have you seen the FODMAP ratings, by the way?
no,
I don't think I've ever seen a rating. Look at the one for Masuaku. I don't think I've seen one that low before. Like, and usually it's like,
what did he get?
you know, we'll all say Masuaku had a bad
Yeah, he had
game,
an assist,
but like
so
somehow
usually
his
you would think he would have like a
Yeah.
high one.
and so
like
somehow his
inferior.
rating is usually like much higher than you'd expect.
I didn't
Let's
look
see if
at
I
it.
can.
Let me check.
Is that not?
But
It's not
I
coming
mean,
through, is
this-
it? He had a 4.8 Con. He
Oh,
he
wow.
was.
okay. Whoever did those ratings was definitely watching the game.
Yeah.
And this-
And actually, what's interesting, Con, is that the only other player with a comparably bad rating was Mert Gunok, which we might have to. Maybe I have to rewatch this to check out his performance. I
well,
wonder what they
you know what the
credit that to.
well, are you sure about? Wait, let me see. FODMAP. Oh yeah, 4.8. That's nice, man. I'm happy about that. I'm happy that
Me too.
I hope he looks at that shit. But the thing is, I did not. I mean, look, I don't think we played a good match because we didn't create chances really.
Yeah.
But like, this wasn't a 3-1 loss performance.
No.
Like they did.
They showed nothing until we. I don't even want to say we gifted them the first goal. That first goal was basically a fluke, right?
Yeah,
It
that
was-
can
it was-
happen.
It was like a wonder goal from a crazy angle. Even the defenders who like let him get that shot off, they were probably thinking like, "Oh yeah, take a shot from there." Like that won't be any danger, right? And then sure enough,
Yeah.
somehow it finds the back of the net. But that was literally like until that moment, this felt to me like almost every other match where we've been, you know, somewhat critical of the lack of attacking impetus and, you know, this whole like they're trying to pass the ball into the back of the net. They're not clinical enough, right? It was all of that stuff, but it still felt like okay, but we're still gonna get the 3 points. It's not gonna be that big of a deal. Like we still have to figure this thing out. We need to be a little bit more aggressive, but it's all right. We're probably gonna get these 3 points. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they get that fluke goal, and the whole match just flips around, and we just kind of like a turtle, like pop its head into its shell. And just you know,
when
disappear.
did they score the equalizer? Because it was I felt it was pretty quick. Like what was that like?
I want to say the 60th.
Okay,
me
but like
see.
even in the 15 minutes leading up to that or whatever, the 10 minutes leading up to that.
54th.
Yeah,
54th.
54.
Yeah,
Like
you're
so
right.
10, so like 8-9 minutes. Like as soon as Mustafa came on, I felt like we were dead.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And like people are like a lot of people are being critical of Chiro, but like I think he does a lot, man. Like he pulls defenders with him. His presence alone is something, and you notice it immediately because when Mustafa is on, that presence is gone. They put one guy on him and it's fine, good, Gucci, no problem. But through the first half, to me, like this game in general, to me, like even when we 1-0 up at halftime, it felt like pulling teeth. Because because nothing is going right, like attacking wise, because we don't have a wing. We don't have wings. Masuaku, okay, he gave that one good cross, but he wasn't good. We had Onur on the other side, so our fullbacks were essentially pretty much neutralized. They had bad games. Then you have Mucci and Simi on the wings. And Mucci, okay, he scored the goal, but other than that, he was largely useless. Simi, people were saying he played well, but I don't know what game those people are watching. Seriously, like I likened it in our group. I mean, an analogy, like in FIFA or in EAFC, you have this game mode called
Create a player or my player.
Yeah,
whatever.
what's it called?
Is it my player?
Player career.
Yeah, player career.
Yeah, now it's just career.
So
yeah.
essentially, what happens is you pick a player, you create a player, or you pick a player, and you start a solo career, essentially it becomes like a single player game. You only control that player.
Yeah, and the camera's,
behind you, and you essentially what you do is whenever you get the ball, you try to dribble and you try to go to goal and you try to score. That is Simi in a nutshell for me, especially this season, and maybe even last season. But last season I don't think it stood out because we were so bad, and he was the only bright side in the season. So him kind of doing that and trying to force stuff all the time. We all just thought it was normal because the team was so shit. But this...
in between December and March, what was the key thing? He was scoring goals every game. He's not scored once this season, so that's a huge...
And
you know, for people who are puffing up his performance in this match, he did have a few runs, which like posed a threat here and there.
Second half,
but like what
he had like one really nice dribble, and then he passed it out wide to like Mucci or something, or Rafa, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
it was like
and that shot just wide at the very end, you know, which kind of, you know, but like, and here's the key thing, Con, though, and the reason I think you can't give him a pass because he had a few moments, because when we needed him most, right after they scored that first goal, that's when we needed to respond and, you know, put pressure on their goal, knock until we finally break through, and then hopefully they open up, and we are the ones who win 3-4-1. But that was when Semi was at his worst, and in fact, I think I noticed he lost the ball like, I'm gonna exaggerate and say like 10 times in a row, but you know, it's probably like 5 or 6 times, you know, but like the ball kept finding him and he would try one of those runs and lose it. And it was at such an integral moment for us when we needed to be showing that we were back. We were like, we had the right impetus, the right kind of like mentality to come back and win this. And he just kept losing the ball, like right at that least opportune moment. And so that's why I think even if you want to like give him credit for the moments of, I didn't even want to say brilliance because they didn't result in anything, but you know, those sort of flashy moments, he still, like, he shouldn't get a pass because when we needed him most, he drew up blanks, and he drew blanks in a pretty piss poor way, man. It was almost lazy. It was like, come on, man, like, you don't have to dribble someone every time you get the ball. Surely there's an easy pass available to you.
His head's always down as well, so he's not seeing who's around him and who to pick.
Yeah,
he's just thinking, I'm going to dribble to go and take a shot.
Yeah,
but that didn't even happen once.
And that's not just in this game, by the way. That happens all the time. Like, was it against Galatasaray? I think there was maybe like a position where he like started dribbling and he dribbled like 2 guys, but then he lost it on the third or something. And it's just because his head is down. He's just looking at the ball. He's not looking up and around him. And as soon as he gets the ball, his head's down. He starts dribbling. He uses his body, but like. And that works well enough against his direct opponent or maybe even the second opponent. But whenever the third one comes in, like he doesn't know that person's coming. So like a really smart player, for example, would then try and find a foul or a penalty or whatever. And look, he's won us a couple of penalties this season, but I don't think the penalties he's won us this season are penalties he looked for. Those were just penalties he because they fouled him, you know? But for example, Icardi or something, he would, like, as soon as he just senses the contact coming and he's already going down. And I'm not advocating...
He creates penalty positions.
Yeah, and I'm not advocating for that, mind you, but it's just like, there was a position actually in this match, I think, if I remember correctly, because I didn't put myself...
If he pulls up and lets contact come from behind,
I didn't put myself through watching it again, or even the highlights, I couldn't do it. My head's been at somewhere else for a couple of days, deliberately so. But
I think we all get that. Yeah.
I think there was a position in this game, I might be mistaken, where I think he's in the box and he avoids a challenge or something along those lines, where it's like, no, just let him tackle you, bro. Like, just go down. I might be mistaken.
It feels like he's always going for like the glory option instead of what's like easiest.
On one hand, I commend it because I think it's good that a player isn't always looking for penalties because I think that's cheap. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean more like, for me, it's more, there's got to be the occasional like just easy 1-2 pass. You know, like you don't always have to like have a run. You know, like
that's also.
It feels like, and in part, I feel like he puts that pressure on himself. He's like, this is my role. I'm going to get the ball upfield. There's something honorable in the mentality, but there's also, it can be quite deleterious.
I feel like
right?
he never
Like,
does that.
It
by
prevents
the way.
opportunities.
I've watched a lot of Ciro Immobile's footage from in Serie A, and like he's a player that does well with 1-2s. With like he's a good pivot for that. And I feel like both Mucci and Semi never do that. Like they never look for him. They never look for 1-2s. Another thing I that has been really annoying me, and not just this game, but like throughout the season, is when like you beat a man and you get like to the back line and you can like dribble into their box like unopposed, and all you really have to do is like lay it off or pick out a teammate. Like every time we get to those sorts of positions, that ball gets intercepted. Every time the ball gets intercepted. No, the ball just gets intercepted every time. When I see Galatasaray, for example, like they score so many goals like that where they lay it off and one of their strikers hits it and bam. And like,
no, and that's where you want to get into those positions, right? It's supposed to be a lot easier to score from there. No, and I mean, what's worse is like when like against Galatasaray, when he just takes the shot instead of creating that chance. But we definitely haven't had much luck either.
And one more thing, like what was I gonna say? Like one of the things in our group chat we were arguing about it earlier is that Ciro doesn't score non-penalty goals essentially. But like, how many chances do his teammates provide him? It's not like he doesn't make runs and isn't active. He's very active. He's always taking in positions in front of goal. But like nobody finds him. Like sorry.
I can't say we've created tons of chances for him.
We haven't.
But there has been some games where he's missed some chances. He probably should.
But like most of the time, those were like volleys and difficult chances. Not all of them. There have been a couple where we have said on the podcast he should have scored that.
Oh, he should have put that away.
He should have put that away. But I think that's like 2 maybe. Like 2.
Yeah. I think obviously you can't really blame him for not scoring that many. I mean, there's some he probably should have scored maybe 2 goals more from open play.
He could have,
He had one in the first half in this match, which was, but like
he created that.
In his defense, he made it right. Like that little slick dribble move.
Yeah. But it was a good save. He didn't do anything wrong. Like the goalkeeper did really well on that one. Because
I don't think that wasn't one of the chances I'm referring to. Because I think
of course. I know.
Yeah.
No, I just mean that like it's an example of what we're saying.
There's been a couple where Rasicka actually found him and he like. The goalkeeper saved it, or he like put it wide or something. There've been like I want to say 2 in the league where we went like, oh, he should have scored that. And then there've been a couple like I think was it like maybe against Galatasaray in the Super Cup and in the Super Cup where he had like a difficult volley, and I think he had like a few more like that where they like I think it's probably Rafa or something who does find him with like a foot high, like a knee high ball or whatever, where he has to like take it in one go and he doesn't put it away. He had that one on the corner. Remember that one? Was it like after a corner? Cathal, do you remember that? Was that against?
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a lot.
There've been
because normally these ones we are referring to normally they've came from like set pieces. I feel.
There've been those. There have been chances. I'm not saying he hasn't had any chances. But if you look at Galatasaray, for example, or even Fenerbahce, like their strikers, like look at Osimhen. He didn't score in his first couple of games. Like the first 2 games he didn't score, but they got him like into like 4 or 5 goal scoring positions. Like our team doesn't do it for him. So I don't know how much you can.
I was watching in the Fener game when they were coming back against Trabzon. I watched Dzeko get like 3 chances that he screwed them all up, honestly. But I was like, damn, if Cheeto could just get one of those, he'd have, he probably would have bagged 2
And Naziri has gotten, I want to say, I'm going to, look, Cheeto's open play XG is 2.68. And he scored 3. I'm gonna.
So it's quite of what he scored, really.
Yeah, and I'm gonna look now at En-Nesyri because I'm sure it's higher.
Yeah.
And he's not even starting every game. Like he started like 4 games or something. Let me see his.
I feel like Chiro does lose quite a lot of balls though, and his hold-up play is not very good, and his passing's a hit or a miss. I think they're genuine criticisms.
Well,
I mean, you could also say, Cartel, that he's had a few great moments as far as distributing the ball and passing too. So it's not like it's a
That's why
weakness.
his passing's a hit and a miss. Sometimes I feel like he's pretty sloppy. Other times it's very good, but I do think he loses quite a lot of the kind of duels and loses quite a lot of balls as well. Because I mean, the guy, I wouldn't say he's not really a pivot striker, is he? He's more of a mobile guy that you probably want to.
Well, he's not. He's definitely not a target man. No, he's definitely not that. But I do think he plays. I think he's good with his feet. Honestly, I think he's better than Mario Gomez with his feet, for example.
I mean,
very similar passing accuracy, but Chiro drops down deep, helps out the midfield a lot more.
you don't think like Gomez obviously had better hold up play, but obviously Gomez is a much bigger man, so you'd expect that.
Well, he's not that much bigger actually. Like Chiro's like 185 and Gomez was like 189, so it's not that. I mean, you know.
But I think it's a noticeable difference on the pitch.
It's a noticeable difference. Oh, by the way, Enesiri 3.9 xG. So that's almost
so he's had more
that's like 1.3 xG more than Chiro. Chiro started every game, and Enesiri started like 4 matches. And I don't think that's a detrimental statement towards Chiro. I think that shows the lack of.
We need wingers.
The lack of creative. We don't even have a low XG as a team. We have a relatively high XG, but we don't create enough for our striker. We simply don't. And we've been saying this since week 1 against Samsun. We said it then. We didn't create a single chance for Chiro. Not a single one. And for me, honestly, I think if you're going to criticize Chiro, I mean, you can criticize him for like little things, but like he's not the problem. Rafa is not the problem.
Yeah.
Simi completely not living up to what we were expecting of him. That's a problem. Is it fair that we were putting that much expectations on him? That's a different argument to be had. But I think we all, and including not just...
I think it is fair, to be honest.
Well,
just given what we saw.
He's 18, you know, going into season was 18, now he's 19 years old. I think it's not abnormal for a 19-year-old player to have growing pains. But the problem is that we, not just I'm not talking the fan base right now, I'm talking the club. We banked big time on Simi this season. And he was instrumental in the entire project. And he has been a massive letdown. Massive letdown. Because he is somebody we all expected would produce, would be dangerous, would link up with Rafa, would link up with Chiro, and he doesn't. He is almost every game he plays his own match.
Do you want me to say something, Ken?
Yeah, please.
I think Semi needs to study a certain player from our past. Who do you think it is? I'll give you guys a guess.
Laren.
Who's the? I mean, I think that's one, but I think there's another one as well that's not Burak, no. Siran, who do you think I'm talking about?
Maybe Oljai or Babel?
Babel. Okay.
I'll tell you why Oljai. Because Oljai was very good at the one-touch passing, and he was very good at being a part of the passing game as well. And he always knew where to be. He scored a lot of goals. A guy with limited talent.
But do you think that's something you can learn, though, Kartal? That's instinct, I think. I think you've got that or you don't.
I don't know, man. I think you can do drills that can improve your one-touch passing. I mean, the Rondos, for
you can definitely.
You know what's funny? I've already told you guys many times, right? I have my little propaganda campaign. I buy all these kids' shirts, and so on my team, the best girl on my team, who happens to be one of my daughter's really close friends, I got her the Semi jersey, and part of doing that was showing her.
Found the reason.
Yeah, well, she's having a great season though. So, well, and you know, and I even showed her a bunch of highlights, and specifically of Semi on the ball, and it was instructional because his ability to like react, right? If a defender comes in and like makes contact with the ball, he would kind of recover it and get around that defender, and so he was always kind of playing with his head up, kind of like able to recover from losing the ball and get it back, and then put himself in an even better situation with the recovery. And I was trying to show that to my best player because you know how when kids play, they all bunch together and they all kind of get around the ball, and there's this scrum. And so I was trying to show her that you can actually kind of use that chaos to your advantage if you can kind of, bounce it up off of people and just be aware of where the ball's going to go next. And so I showed her all these semi-highlights to kind of like inspire her. And that's something he was doing so well, so often last season. And I feel like we've had just like one solid highlight of that this year. He's not like I can't help but feel like it's mental. Like there's something.
It has to be mental.
He's putting too much pressure on himself, or I don't know what it is, but he obviously he still has that on the ball ability.
Off the ball game is the biggest issue, I feel.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's so much going wrong with his game this season.
See if Sammy could make himself like a hybrid of Babel, Laren, and Olzheimer, that'd be crazy.
Man, even if he would just do the Laren thing, I think that he could make a career off of that, because he's a much better football player than Laren is, so he has the dribbling ability. Because how many times did Laren get the ball on the wing and he was like one-on-one with a guy, and we just knew like this isn't going anywhere because he can't beat a man.
Every time.
Yeah, exactly. And Simi has that. Simi can do that. So if Simi would just make those runs consistently, I think he could make a career off of that, of being a wing forward.
Yeah, but if he was able to be like Olja in the passing game as well, then he'd be.
I don't see that, man. I think in order for you to be a good one-touch passer, you need to be one step ahead of the game. You need to know where the game is going. And Olja wasn't maybe not the most technically gifted player, but he was a very intelligent football player. And I don't get that impression from Simi. I don't get the impression that he's a particularly high IQ player. I think he's more a guy. I'm getting this impression like somebody who went through the youth ranks because he's technically very good, physically very good. And that's probably why he bossed and bullied other kids even though he's not a tall guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he's stocky, he's strong, he has good physical abilities. Like he's not super fast, but he's fast enough. I don't know, maybe right now I'm missing game IQ from him at the moment. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that. Maybe I
100%, I agree.
I have noticed myself over the last couple of weeks being extremely harsh on Simi. Like I've been keeping it from the podcast. I didn't want to bash on him, but I've been noticing watching the games and just getting annoyed with him. Maybe and because of that, maybe I'm being too harsh.
I don't think you are, man.
Con, I thought maybe you were when I was watching the game, because I saw a number of negative comments about him from you. But again, it was because those first 60 minutes weren't so bad for us. And as soon as we really needed him to step up, he was at his worst. And I went from being like, Con, maybe you're being a little hard, to like, oh, no. I think I even said, I was like, oh, I see what you're talking about, Con.
Can I say something, though? Like, see, not so bad. That's not good enough.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Either. We need to fucking dominate teams at home. We need to see Kasimpaşa. We should be fucking destroying them.
Yeah.
But we don't.
We've won every home game so far this season in the league. We should be that was.
We should be steamrolling these teams, man. And that's what's so annoying. Just not bad or not worse than them isn't good enough, man. We should be creating multiple chances. Even with not a full team, I think it's not. I don't really think that's an excuse.
Mm-hmm. And you can some people will say, oh, but look, this Kasimpaşa, they were really good against Galatasaray. They came back from a 3-0, and I watched that game, and they were actually really good. They did not deserve to go 3-0 down. That was so exaggerated. Galatasaray were just super efficient, and they fought themselves back into that match, and they played a brilliant game. But I don't think Kasimpaşa were good against us.
No, they weren't.
They weren't. We gave it to them on a silver platter. That's the most frustrating thing of all. The fact that that they weren't if they would have had a really good game, and I think it would be easier to take, but we literally gifted it to them. I can't.
I think the coaches got mistakes in this game, man. I think Gio's been making quite a few mistakes recently. I think he should stay till the end of the season.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about his mistakes. Let's get let's get the lineup up. For example, like Onur Bulut, I think that's a mistake.
Why is that? Like, what's the reason for this, man?
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning and think, I better play Onur, man, because Udokai thinks he's funny.
Do you guys feel like maybe Giovanni tinkers a little too much?
Yeah, no, that's exactly that. The full fan base is saying that, bro. If you look at social media, everyone's saying, because we had a plan that worked at the start of the season, we were playing brilliant, and then he just kept changing it, and now
well,
we are.
Yeah, but how many changes has he made that weren't forced though? It's like looking at this lineup, like the only one that's not forced is Onur, and we don't know. Maybe Svensson was sick again over the week. Maybe he had a small injury.
Again?
Khan, here's what gave me the thought is that it feels like our wings, like we've never played with the two same wingers like 2 weeks in a row. There's always some tinkering, like moving Semi to the right or whatever it might be. And I mean, look, in his defense, I think you could easily make the argument he's still trying to find the solution, right? Because it's not like we've gotten there yet as far as chance creation from the wings. Although it's crazy to me. We've still yet to see João Mario as the right winger and Semi Kılıçsoy as the left winger.
Oh, like that.
Have we?
No. Yeah, maybe we haven't seen that, but we have seen João Mario on the right.
Like for me, that was when João Mario came in. I thought, okay, we're gonna see João Mario and Semi, and like you have one guy who's more kind of a wing striker type, and then one more kind of central mid.
Against Trabzon, I think he immediately started as a right winger, and I think he put Rasicka on the left in that game.
Yeah.
But the problem, I mean, with the wings, I think a large part of the issue there has been Rasicka has been out for a good handful of games now.
That has not helped.
That has not helped. Simi. Sorry?
We all criticize Rasicka. He's by far our best winger.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think I don't think he's an exceptional player. I don't think he's a very good player. I think he's at best a good player. On a good day, he is a difference maker, though, because we've seen that against like Antalya and stuff like that. If he has a good match, he can really make a difference. The problem is he's very inconsistent, and I don't think he's look, Rashid Ghazal was a star winger. Ricardo Quaresma was a star winger. Like Rasicka is not a star winger, and that's what we need. But Rasicka is definitely good enough to be number 2. The second winger or whatever. Like, you don't need 2 amazing wingers. If you have one really good winger, the other one can be Olcay. Obviously Olcay was a very intelligent player, but
Yeah, and I still think, man, see if we sign like a very good right winger, you could put Rasicka on the left.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it. That left wing forward role, which he thrived at with Werder Bremen back in the day.
Yeah.
That's why he got his transfer to the Premier League, because of his plays a left wing forward in the Bundesliga for Werder Bremen.
And he played some good games for us, I think, last season on the left as well.
He did.
I mean, but yeah, like Gio has obviously done some tinkering. Look, I think rotation is important, especially when you don't have the widest squad, because you essentially rotating is also injury prevention. You're trying to rotate players to avoid too many injuries or whatever. So that's also part of it. Like, for example, Al Musrati coming back from his injury, he's only played like 30 minutes since. Like, what's going on there? We don't really know.
That's the communication in the club's so bad just now.
Yeah, but is it any different elsewhere though? I wonder. Like.
Yeah, but I think, see, if your record signing came on in 2 games, but then suddenly gets no minutes in the next 2 games against
Yeah, but that's on the journalists, though. They have to ask those questions before or after the game.
And Kasimpaşa, he got no minutes at all. Like, why is that? And you were saying that he's maybe only been forced to play Honor, but there's this thing where when a player gets injured, it's taken an awful long time for them to get that place back in the starting 11. Like, Semi got injured. In fact, I think he was actually taken out the starting 11 before he got injured, because I'm pretty sure
he got injured in the national team camp. So
even Sivas game, he started on the bench and came on later, and then Semi came back from injury, but for several weeks he was on the bench.
Yeah, but Simi being on the bench had nothing to do with it. I mean, like, I think we now all understand that was a performance-related issue.
I will say this too, Kartal. One important thing, Kartal, before we let go of that thread, I think it's really important for us to remember how many seasons we've essentially fucked by rushing players back from injury too soon. Key players, like let's say Rashid Ghazal, right? That's the one that comes to my mind immediately. And then they re-injure themselves, and then we end up fucked for like 2 more months rather than just maybe another week if we'd let him recover more. So in a sense, I don't mind the cautious approach to bringing players back. You know, a guy like Al Musrati, for example, right? He has this recurrent injury, which he kind of came in with. So to be a little more cautious, I'm okay with. Again, though, what I do agree with you, Kartal, is where's the communication? And I actually agree with you too, Khan, that like, where are our journalists? What are the questions they are asking? Yeah. What are the answers they're looking for? Are they, honestly, like, and I think this is an indictment against the Turkish football scene in general. Yeah. The journalists in Turkey are far more interested in finding stories that can stir up the pot and like enrage, you know, a million people with like
they wanted
words.
to get to this point where people are like, oh, why is Al Musrati not playing? And then now I bet you if he doesn't start the next game, then they'll probably ask about it. But like this should have been like, you know, like look. Yeah. You could also say, okay, maybe Gio should be more transparent and should communicate more about the players because the fans are the ones who are left guessing. And I think it's very important to be transparent with the communication. But I don't know which clubs do that, honestly. Like, that's such a bad thing in football in general. Like, that's not just Beşiktaş. That's like...
We can be trailblazers then, Can, and
start doing this. I'm all for it. I'm all for it, Kartal. But like, you know, like it's not something that's super common in football. Like managers don't really like to. Yeah, I don't think they like to communicate too much about that kind of stuff. Like for example, he actually did talk about Rashica and stuff. Like he said, was it before this game? I think where you mentioned, okay, Gabriel Paulista is back in training with the team now. He's probably going to be ready to play soon. But then for Rashica, for example, he mentioned he's still not training with the team. We hope to get him back ready before the national team break. So I was my head's already going, oh yeah, great. And then he's going to go to Kosovo and going to get injured again. And we can
get hurt again.
And we can miss him another 2 months. I'm pretty sure last season he returned from an international break with an injury as well. Like it's...
he's injury.
I mean, that's what happened this time.
Does my head in, man. Like,
yeah, he's injury prone as well, man. That's another issue. He was out for long stretches last year as well. Yeah. What I don't understand though is like, seeing honest to what you were saying about rushing him back from injury, but after playing him in the first 2 games for albeit limited minutes, why has he got absolutely 0 minutes the 2 games after? I don't understand that. Has he maybe re-hurt himself in training? Like, I want to know why.
I would think it has to do with the fact that he's not in both those games, we needed an offensive sub, and he's not. And Gio doesn't see him as an offensive sub. Maybe. I agree with you. He should have come on for Endur in this game. I agree with you. Like, I think.
I love Endur, but I think he was bad in this game. It was his worst game in a Beşiktaş shirt.
Honestly, if Musrati was fit and you're forced to take Ciro off at halftime, what I would have done is taken Ciro off, put Musrati on, or João Mario, and put those 3, Endur, Jetson, and either Musrati or João Mario in the midfield. Put Rafa as the false 9, or move Rafa to the wing. Put Semi as the striker. I think that in this game, when we're talking about mistakes made by Gio, starting Onur, bringing on Mustafa Hekimolo at halftime instead of putting on a more experienced, mature player in midfield. I really think if you put Musrati in, if he's fit to play, and you put Rafa or Semi at top, like, I don't think we give that 1-0 away so easily. You know, I mean, I say that now, but like what Masuaku did, like, you can play the best game defensively, and if a player does something like that, like you have no chance. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, man. I mean, Karen, there's just something I wanted to add though. Like, see, you're saying how Semi was clearly performance related. I understand that, but at the same time, we also all agreed on the podcast last week that although Semi's not been good enough this season, he's still unfortunately the best option we have in that position.
I think I've been consistently in saying that he should have, in that period where he wasn't getting any minutes, he should have been getting minutes. However, we were also saying before that game where he didn't play, we were also, because Mucci had essentially not played at all other than against Antalya. We were all saying, well, it's 10 million we spent on this guy. He needs to get minutes. Yeah. And then Mucci started getting minutes. So it's like, yeah, I mean, ideally they would have, they would have gone 50-50 on the games, on the minutes played. But yeah, I mean,
and look, here's another thing too, especially regarding Mucci, right? I don't think anyone is like super excited about Ernest Mucci these days, but
scored two
he
goals.
Scored 2 goals in 2 matches, both nice goals that will add to his highlight reel, and each goal could add another, $1.5 million to his price tag. So, I don't know. Like, there's some. Look, we're operating in a weird mode where like we still also need to be focused on developing talent to sell, right, to make money, so that we can ultimately build the project that I think we've all gotten a little overly excited about building right now. Like we're trying to skip a step perhaps because we saw so much success early on in the season, and I think we're forgetting the context of this whole season. Right, the fact that we're 3 points behind Fener, who are in second place. The fact, look, 8 points behind Galatasaray is not ideal. It could be 5 if we beat them on the second leg next season.
If we have, look, if we have wingers, sure, but like,
yeah, and that's the thing, like. Clearly, the holes that we have in the squad, we have for good reason. And I put that in quotes, meaning like we've all sort of circled around. We thought we were going to have a budding world-class talent in the way of Semi Kilitsoy, right? We thought, Rashica, between Rashica and João Mario, they could put in a good winger performance, every other week or something. I think we figured we had enough pieces to get us to January, where we could then kind of, make the master touches.
If you like Ege was, for example, being very critical of Rafa in the group chat earlier today, and I'm just like, that is legitimately like the only player this season that I think you cannot criticize. Because I'm not saying he's played a perfect game every week, but I think everything is put on that guy's shoulders, and he delivers, because every game he has 3-4 moments where he almost scores or sets someone up to score. He has the I'm not saying he's playing great in every game, but even the games where we've mentioned that he hasn't been good, he has had 2 to 3 moments minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Can. Rafa's our best player, but I can see kind of where Ege's coming from at the same time, though. Like, you'd want to see a wee bit more for the 6 million a year.
Yeah, but Katal, how much more? Like, you can put Lionel Messi in this team right now. If Simi and Mucci and Rashica and João Mario, like those guys that are supposed to be playing on the wings, are putting in the performances they have been putting in this season, there's only so much a player can do. Like, even if they're as brilliant as Rafa. Like, Rafa, for me, put him in that 2015 to 2017 team, and he plays every game, and he's probably the best player.
Yeah, of course he is. He's a brilliant football player, and he still shows in every game like what class he has. But I do understand the frustration as well with certain people about how he's maybe not taking games by the scruff of the neck and stuff like that.
Doesn't he though? Because I mean, look at the Galatasaray derby, like that chance that in the 4th minute for Simi. Who creates that?
Rafa did, of course, but I don't know. I just think maybe if we because we are talking about moments in a lot of games. Like, I can understand.
But matches are decided by moments.
But like, you'd want to see maybe like dominate games more. I think that's maybe a fair criticism, but obviously it's hard to do that when everyone around you is not really performing. And so I also give credit to what you're saying, Can, but I do understand Ege a wee bit as well.
The only thing I think you can criticize Rafa for is that he doesn't find Chiro enough. He doesn't service Chiro enough. I often find when he's like running down a goal and he has like a choice to make, he often picks like Simi or he'll pick Mucci, and I don't have these moments in my head, like I don't know where Chiro was at the time or whatever, but like he picks one of those two guys and they screw it up. I don't know if he had the opportunity to play Tuchiro on those moments. I don't know from the top of my head. But like, I do find like they don't link up a lot. I've noticed that.
He trusts Jedson implicitly. I don't know if you guys have realized.
No, rightfully so. Jedson scored 7 goals.
Yeah, of course. Jedson's not going to lose the ball, and he's going to. Yeah.
See, actually, I saw a very interesting stat. Like, see, Jedson's at his best when he doesn't need to touch the ball that much. When someone else can have it, and he can make runs and get it.
Yeah, I mean that's why Rafa has been such a godsend for him, right? Is that he can kind of come in from the back while we're doing some stuff up front, and then kind of sneak in and find himself in the right position to cause some damage.
When Endur's playing, like, Jedson needs to touch the ball more. Because Musrati is the playmaker, and he takes that responsibility. He's on the pitch to play. Endur doesn't do that as much.
I also wonder whether Musrati has been eased back because Endur has been playing quite well. And if that's...
Yeah, I would get that too.
Yeah.
At the same time, but this is what I don't get. Like, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is a pro-license coach, yeah. Can you're a football journalist, man. I got to give you your credit, man. But me and Sinan, we're just regular fans, man. But we can see that when Musrati's on the pitch, that we don't absorb anywhere near as much danger from opposition. And the opposition comes out of this. If two fans and a sports journalist can see this, how is the coach not seeing it?
I guess, but here's my thinking, Cartel, and perhaps this was Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's thinking. I think maybe he's thinking when you look at Kasimpaşa, especially on paper, you probably want to play more of an offensive-minded, right? You probably think you could beat them without having to emphasize sort of defensive solidity or what have you. And frankly, like, we should have. Like, I don't know what we were doing for those first 60 minutes. We should have been pressing more and I mean, again, like, I don't know what this passivity is all about. I don't know why we're not trying to score as many goals as possible. It feels like we're very comfortable, and I think part of it is that we're so comfortable in defense that there's like a sense of less sense of urgency, like less pressure to score. That we're going to be fine with a 1-goal lead. We could handle this, but then we're kind of now regularly not handling it, and I feel like we need to sort of shift our mentality. But yeah, I mean, at least on paper, I can understand why he wouldn't want to overemphasize kind of defensive solidity against a side like Kasimpaşa, who has not been so good this year, right? I mean, I don't know how familiar he is with what they did last year, but
yeah. What's so strange though, Sinan, is what did you just say there? A very key word that you used. You said, why are we so passive? This is the contrast between now and where we started. Can, what was the word you said at the start of the season? Think back to the second Lugano game. What did you say about this team?
Energetic, high tempo. I don't remember exactly.
You said
relentless.
You've never seen this crash that's this ruthless and keeps going for the next one. What has changed between then and now? And now we're so passive.
I don't know.
Like, that's what's fucking, like, that's why I was so upset, man. Like, see, last year we got warmed up because we expected to be fucking shit, didn't we? We all knew that this wasn't going to be all year. Even though we had glaring holes in the team at the start of the season. Like, I cried out for 3 months in this podcast saying we need a creative player. I did. And you guys agreed with me. But because of how good we started this season, we believed. Because we were playing so fucking good. But what's changed between now and then? That this team that was so ruthless kept going for more blood.
Yeah.
And they smelled blood attacking. Now we're passive.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? Like,
I mean, obviously, I think fatigue. I have the impression that we are playing at 70-80% most games because we're trying to conserve energy.
And Rafa's not like a surprise anymore. I think everyone knows who he is, what he's going to do, and they're clearly like emphasizing taking his feet out from behind him, cutting him out, preventing him from doing what he does best. I mean, that should mean that somebody else steps up. But again, right, because he was such a fulcrum of creativity, and because we lack what we need elsewhere on the pitch to create, Carto, you keep talking about how we don't have that winger. And like with Rashica especially, right, with him out.
Yeah.
It just feels like we don't even have the capacity for a plan B at the moment. And that's really troubling.
We have no options, right? Like, This is I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's so here's what's so annoying about it too, though, and we keep going over this. It's like it's hard to really blame anyone. Like, and I know people want to blame, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, but at the end of the day, it's a personnel issue, and
Yeah.
we can understand where this personnel issue stems from, right? They did a lot, and they did. I think we could probably argue the best they could have in the window they had.
yeah. Well, not the best. I mean,
But we needed two. We need at least two windows to fix.
yeah.
Right. We really like. I know I'm like flogging a dead horse so badly these days, but we cannot forget where we've come from. Like
No.
Yeah, but
we were
But they.
so out of the table. Like we were such trash last year.
But
see, the thing is, though, Ciaran, we're talking about how trash we were last year. Just now, we've only got 1 point more than we did at this point last season. That's
Yeah, but Cartel, you have to remember the season didn't go off the rails until well into the season. So nobody was calling for Shin Ogunish's head at this stage of last
Yeah,
season.
they were.
I mean, he was already,
This was literally when he was gone, man.
he was gone a month.
He left after
He went-
Lugano, huh?
Yeah, he left at the start of October. It was a month ago last year. He left.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The collapse was sudden, right? We haven't collapsed to the same extent, right?
I would say
when he got,
we just collapsed
like-
this week. I feel like these two
Yeah, we did.
losses. We've gone from being in a really good position in the title race to completely knocked out in a week. We were. I mean, if we did not lose the derby, we would be favorites. And then, and even now, had we beaten Kasimpaşa, we'd only be 5 points back. But now we're 8 points behind a team that has won 9 out of 10 games.
And it's only November.
And it's November, yeah.
But I still would say that to the extent that we collapsed last season.
Yeah, but Sinan, this is the start of the collapse, I think, man. Like,
Well, no, that's exactly what I was going to say. No, actually, that's not what I'm going to say. And in fact, this is my point, actually. It could be the start of that collapse, right? And so now is really, like, for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, it's basically do or die.
Yeah.
Malmo could be the Lugano, right? If he fully shits the bed.
Yeah, but Sinan, like, how fair is that on him, though? He doesn't have...
No, I know.
Look, Erdal
I know.
just joined us in the chat. I think he's new. Welcome, Erdal. And he asked us about the Wednesday game, against Malmo. And it's like, I just mentioned this before. Rasicka not expected to be back until the international break, or just before the international break. So, no Rasicka on Wednesday. No Immobile on Wednesday. Gabriel Paulista, maybe. I don't even think that matters because Emirhan and Felix have been brilliant together. So I don't think that matters all that much. But
I think it does, because I want to get that Cloud Masuaku out the top 11, man, and play Emirhan.
So you want to play Emirhan left back? Okay, fair enough. But like usually Masuaku, when he plays a shit game, he bounces back with a good performance because he's like, oh, I can play. Look at me.
I'm not that bad. Yeah.
You people shitting on me? How dare you? But no.
I feel like fucking Saturday was the straw that broke the camel's back.
I'm fearing the same thing, man. I think Malmö is only going to exacerbate the problem because without Ciro, with Rasicka not back yet, like either Jetson and Rafa are going to have to play out of their minds and maybe we beat them, but I don't think so. I see another... I'm not hopeful for Wednesday. And then...
let me reply, Khan. Let me reply to you before we move on, because like this is important, and I don't disagree with you. You're right. My point was more like, I think from the general fans' perspective, right? That's probably how they're viewing it as far as these next couple matches. And I think if you really want to separate last season from this season even more, you could easily make the argument that Şenol Güneş is a huge part of why we collapsed last season. And he's a huge part of how the squad came undone.
There was,
and in fact, even in the squad, composition.
I don't think there's any... I mean... You could.
I think Gio. I don't think Gio's the main reason we're in this situation. I think probably mainly on the ball. I don't see how they couldn't find, out of all the wingers in the world, I don't see how they couldn't find one to side. And I don't understand.
But again, man, Carter, like the semi drop off is such a huge part of that.
They brought in Ndour, they brought in João Mario. And we already had Jetson, we already had Musrati.
But Khan, remember, João Mario was just coming off his best career season as a right winger, right?
Yeah, but the season before
Well, I'm just saying though, right? Like you can understand.
Yeah, okay, but
On paper,
okay,
why they did
on
what they did,
paper,
and that's all I'm saying.
but-
I don't even know. This is my point though. I don't. You could find, like, if you're really hard pressed to find who is responsible for this collapse, you could give a little bit of blame to the board, a little bit to Gio. Mostly, I think you'd have to put it on the players, right?
But
specific individuals.
I think so. But I also think you can be critical of the board, and there's definitely been mistakes. Like I think João Mario wasn't the right player. Again, I think he's a good football player, but he wasn't the right player for us. Especially not because we had already signed Ndur. We signed 2 players in the middle of the park. For some reason, my Netflix is popping on. I don't know what's up with that. What the hell? Okay.
We lost the.
Yeah, it's because somebody's. Hey, zit ik al aan mijn.
Oh, that's someone tinkering.
Zit ik al iets met het kastje te doen, mama? Ja. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. Can you stop doing that?
Yeah, I do apologize for the technical issue.
Sorry.
Technical issue.
My computer screen is also it's also a smart TV, so they were streaming to my screen for some reason. Yeah. Okay, smarties. Oh, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought now. So I think we had we had a really good summer. However, I think we overdid it in the middle of the park. We signed, in hindsight, João Mario is more a middle of the park player. We signed Ndur. And look, I don't think I think one of them is fine, but both of them.
But Con, 1 point. I'm sorry to be the defender of the board here, but let's not forget, Jedson had 1 foot out the door for most of the summer. And I think, like, when they brought in Cher, for example, right? They were probably like, well, Jedson's on his way out.
I'm not being overly critical on it, though. But in hindsight, I definitely think they made mistakes. I think that's... But I don't think it's fair to say Unitem Istifa or anything along those lines, because...
No, of course not.
They did it. I think they did actually a quite good job. I mean, we saw on Monday how little the difference was between us and Galatasaray. How small it was. They had to resort to really dirty play. They had the ref on their side, and they won because of 2 set pieces.
And we pumped Galatasaray 5.
Yeah, and on top of that, we missed 4 starters in that match. However, this Saturday, like it was a combination of us missing some players and Masuaku in particular gifting them 3 goals. He gave them the second goal, but he was like in the first half he was already he was ready
to give them a goal.
People who say like, oh, this player, I think Sali is really good at that. Like, oh, I think Abubakar is deliberately sabotaging the team. Oh, I think this player is deliberately like Masuaku, like legitimately, like, what the hell, bro? Are you trying to sabotage us? What are you doing? But that's Masuaku, right? And
to be clear, you're not saying that he was trying to. You just mean he was playing
I'm
that
not saying
poorly.
He was, but he was that shit.
That you had to even wonder, what is he doing?
And I think Kasimpaşa, this game, Gio made mistakes. Definitely, starting with Onur. If there is no legitimate reason to do that, if that was just for the sake of it, look, if Svensson has like a minor injury, maybe he was ill again and he wasn't 100%, and then you start Onur, I understand it. But if you just did that for the sake of rotating, I think that's a bad move, because the drop off in quality from Svensson to Onur is way too big. Onur is a massive liability, and we were already down Rasička, and we don't have actual wingers, so like that's a mistake. And I think the biggest mistake, because we had this match essentially we were in a winning position at halftime. If you're then forced to take Chio off, I think you need to be smarter about it. Like we have seen already, Mustafa isn't up for it. We should have put on Musrati, or he should have put on João Mario. One of those two. He should have put on one of those two.
See, the thing is as well, see what you're saying just now. I was actually thinking that when I saw Hikimoto came on, I was like, no, why not play Rafa as a false nine up at Semi up front and bring on Musrati? That's what I thought. Like, again, if the coach, how's the coach not seeing that Hikimoto's not ready? But he can.
I was on the verge of writing in our WhatsApp group fun. I've got a bad feeling about this, but I thought to myself, no, I'm not gonna be the negative.
I don't want to be the negative.
I don't want to be the
Nancy.
negative. I don't want to be Sally. You know, like he was already bitching 30 minutes in.
If you pay attention to the way we set up, Masuaku played in the Svensson role. He tucked into former back.
I didn't notice.
Yeah. He actually had a couple. Like in the first half, I was willing to be like, at least he had a couple good defensive stops, but then like he just did the most brain dead
even
garbage.
on that goal, on the second goal, initially he does well, and then he decides.
I know, and then he gives up the ball.
And then he gets cocky, and he decides to go on a freaking dribble exercise.
He tried that. Yeah, he tried that step out and back, which was so bad.
A tactical error, because why would you put a left back that's bad at defending and play him as a third centre, play him off the ball as a third centre back?
I don't even think he's bad at defending though, Kartal, because he usually, when he's focused, he's actually quite good. He's hard to get by. But the problem is he is so cocky and so full of himself that he does these stupid brain-dead things.
And that makes him a liability in defence.
And that makes him a liability because I don't think he's a bad defender, because we very often...
When he wants
when
to be,
he's focused, he's a very good player.
Yeah, not one-on-one, but in terms of actually, like, because he has these brain farts so often, it makes him a huge liability.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just this is my new hot take. I just thought of this way on the last point before we go fully past it. I think I've now deduced that for me the biggest mistake made was not finding a winger, because like I said, I think I kind of grasped their logic. They think we've got Semi, we've got Rashica, we've got
I mean,
whatever.
They could have.
For me, the big error is the backup striker situation. If he doesn't think Semi is a striker, or if I know,
been saying it
and
for
that's
months.
why I get it. I think so. Like, and because if for whatever reason Semi doesn't want to be a striker, or Gio doesn't think he's up for it, whatever's at play there, or maybe a little bit of both. It's so obvious that Mustafa Hekimoğlu was like a reach as far as him being prepared to be a backup.
Even if Semi isn't playing total shit, and if Mustafa isn't completely out of his element, even then we would have needed an experienced third striker who you can put on in a bad situation, when you're just swinging in the ball, when you're just crossing, when you're overloading their penalty area. We needed that type of a player, like a Umut Nayev, for example, or a Serdar Dursun, whatever. We needed someone like that. It doesn't need to be a world-class striker. It doesn't need to. It didn't have to be Wout Weghorst or anything like that. Like an expensive option. There are cheap options, but and preferably a Turkish one. But we don't have one. That is, I think, our single biggest hole in the team, and we've got a couple of them. But that is the one. Glaring, the biggest one, because even if Semi is playing a good season, he's still what? He's 180? How tall is Semi? He's like 1.80 meters or something.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Like, that's not somebody like.
He's not towering over
and he's
anyone.
not good in the air. Chiro isn't a player that scores lots of headers either. He's not an aerial striker. We don't have anyone like that. And for some reason we love to play Cross and Inshallah with Masuaku. So
yeah.
Where's the logic?
Bring in someone to take advantage of that when we do that. Yeah. No.
And that's
that feels to me. And Kartal, you took a little heat from this in the group chat because you were saying maybe we should have just kept Muleka then. And I think for all the crap people were saying, there's no question that he would have at least been more useful than Mustafa Hekimoğlu has been thus far. I mean, anyone, like just someone with experience and the ability to put the ball in the back of the net.
He wasn't very clinical either, and very choky. He didn't show up on big moments. Like he fumbled stuff.
Well, hey, remember, Khan? He came up big at the end of last season.
Yeah, in the cup game he was good, but like, let's be honest, guys. Like,
and they actually got us through. He saved the season. And against Antalya, he scored 2 goals in the cup.
He did.
I would have
But-
taken him
but
over
where-
Mustafa
where-
if we had no other
Yeah.
like, because that was one of the last moves of the summer,
Yeah.
you know. And frankly, like,
But he was never. He was like, remember Cenk in between 2014 and 2016 how
Yeah.
important he was coming off of the bench.
Yeah, he's
Muleka
not-
was never that type of player that could consistently do that. Like he
Yeah.
had a couple of moments, sure, but he very often would come on and he'd work his ass off. And I was defending Muleka all season last season, but he's a hard worker and all that. But like he isn't clinical either. Although, but of course now, like we could use him. I'm not arguing that, but he is also somebody who would have taken up a foreign slot player
Yeah.
who would.
I would have gotten rid of Onana in retrospect.
Yeah.
There's actually, I've been waiting with this list up that I wrote now, that you can't see it because of my background, but I was showing my phone. I've actually been waiting to read this list that I actually wrote in our group chat yesterday.
I didn't
So-
read it. I think I have been avoiding the group a bit. I have
Yes.
to admit.
This weekend, yeah, same.
So it's like mistakes made in the summer was the title I said. So
Mhm.
I felt if you couldn't find a backup striker, Muleka should have stayed, and Onana should have been loaned out instead, because as far as we
Yeah,
heard,
that's fair. That's fair.
as fans we were
Yeah, I
told
dig
by
that.
the media that there were offers for Onana.
Supposedly Gio wanted to keep him, so that is on Gio.
Yeah, and then for me, Jan Keresh shouldn't have been signed. That's 3
Oh my god, he came into this game and he like the 3-1 is him clowning,
I lost the ball.
losing the ball like in and we paid almost 3 million for these guys. I mean, I said this when we signed him. I'm like, what are we doing? 2.75 million.
That's
Take
what-
that. Add 1.5 million or 2 million to that, and you can buy a half decent winger.
Yeah,
He's not even a proper prospect, you know. He's one of those like
No,
Turkish young.
How old is he? Like
you know?
23 or something?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's never had a great like at least Oğuz Aydın at Alanya last season had a fantastic season. So it's understandable Fener signed him. They have done fuck all with him. We could sure use him right now. But Can isn't worth money. Can, we should have, if we could have taken him for free, sure. 500k max, okay. Nothing more than that. This is just another Kerem Atakan Kizgin. Like a super inflated, ridiculous price for a mediocre
Actually-
talent.
Anadolu trash.
I actually thought Kerem Atakan Keskin looked fine when he played as well, but not this guy.
Well,
So that's all-
this guy's barely played, so
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you know, like he came in a very difficult situation in this match. Like that's not
Yeah.
fair on him, and I'm being super harsh, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he has played like 20 minutes or something this season, that alone
Yeah.
is says enough
Oh,
that we should have never paid that type of money for him.
So I've said that he should have been signed, so that saves 2.75 million. I think the next point I think was a lot to do with the anger about from Masuaku in this game.
Sorry, what?
So
That's not cool.
next points I think got a lot to do with how pissed off I was at Masuaku this game. So I've said Masuaku should have been replaced if the alleged offers were true. Because remember those supposedly offers from Greece.
Yeah.
And I said that Jean shouldn't have been signed.
They were poorly timed though, those offers. I think that was like when we were playing Lugano or something already. Like they should have come earlier. I think we probably would have sold him if there would have been serious offers for him earlier. But
Yeah, and then the last one was João Mario transfer. That shouldn't have happened. A proper winger should have been signed instead. And even if they were just a good winger, they don't need to be Quaresma. Even if it was just a good winger.
I
they made a huge-
think the fact that Gabriel Angelo went to Al Nassr or wherever he went, I think that was a real big stick in the wheel of the board, because I think they really counted on that transfer, and I think when that like didn't happen, I think they scrambled and went for João Mario instead.
Yeah.
I think
So for me, that's a four big mistake. So this is the reason why, like, although we've had this collapse, we've only won one in the last four in the league. That's why I'm not for Gio to be sacked. All right, Gio's made a lot of mistakes recently. He's been looking for this plan.
But
plan B.
they aren't egregious though. I don't feel like his mistakes are egregious. Like they're mistakes, but I still feel like the players are more responsible than anything.
Yeah. I don't think it's fair to sack a manager when you've not equipped him with a full squad, and we don't have a full squad just now. And I think if he was like, see if he were playing the way we were just now from the start, I'd say Shaka, man. But the fact that we were so good in the first month of the season, we were amazing. Khan said it was the best Beşiktaş he's seen in his life.
It was amazing.
Yeah, like the fact that he's shown us this makes me trust that he can get us back to playing like.
And supposedly now as well, they're bringing in a set piece coach. I don't know if you saw that. Like I trust Gio, and I think like one of the biggest issues we have is the set pieces. That we are so ineffective on set pieces. If we bring in a good set piece coach now and we can work on that, improve that, then for me it's really just hope we don't completely collapse because of a couple of poorly timed injuries and maybe a little low morale now, because like, and the Malmo game is going to be extremely important for that. I mean, I think Wednesday is going to tell us how the rest of our season is going to go. If Wednesday we play a shit game and we lose against Malmo, I think we can close the books on this season. Maybe we win the cup or something, but like I think the season's over, because we'll talk about this in a second actually. But I want to get to the XG and all that numbers first. Let's get that out of the way, because there's something else on my mind I want to talk about, and I want to be done with the Kasimpaşa game first.
Yeah, let's be done. And just to quickly finish up that thought, for me, it's even maybe Sunday is even more telling as far as the future goes. But yeah, I know what you mean. This is a crucial period. Anyway, stats. So I think, like we have said, the stats actually suggest that Beşiktaş probably should have won this match, despite the fact that we lost by 2 goals somehow. We had 55% of the ball to their 45%.
That's low for us, by the way.
It is, and so are our completed passes and the accuracy. So we were also just having a rough day. But anyway, XG 1.63 to their 1.06. So we won the XG battle.
They scored 3 goals out of 1.06 XG. That's ridiculous.
And they had one big chance, and they missed it, and they still scored 3 goals. Because obviously the first goal was a fluke, the second goal was garbage. Anyway,
by the way,
we
sorry
had
to
11
interrupt
shots.
you, Sinan. Castle, did you ever figure out whether Aytaç handled the ball on his control?
No, it hit his knee.
Okay,
I watched it back.
Okay, that's good. Good, because otherwise.
So
Sorry to interrupt you.
We had 11 shots to their 14. They had 4 on target to our 3. Although, and this is telling also, especially regarding the XG, we had 3 big chances and we missed 2 of them. They only had 1 and they missed it. Yeah. So again, right? They scored basically 3 fluke goals.
They scored 3 half chances. They scored 3 half chances.
Yeah.
Although, do you guys not think our XG seems inflated? Like,
no, I don't, Cartel. You know,
know.
That was what I was doing. When I was watching the match, the replay, because I'd heard all that negativity, that's exactly what I was monitoring. And I don't know if you recall, but I sort of chance by chance highlighted our chances, and we actually had like 4 solid chances.
Their keeper had a pretty good game, I thought so.
I think
he did, and especially when you factor in him coming out and cutting out, balls, intercepting.
Oh yeah.
Like he was very active.
Yeah, definitely.
Annoyingly good.
He had a couple of really good interceptions.
From what I remember, though, like Shea missed a very good chance. Obviously, Semi right at the end, and then you have the goal for Mucci. And then
you already just forgot Immobile's chance, which was probably the best one.
For me, that's a half chance. It's a very tight end.
No, that was our best chance. He was in the box.
That's the goal.
He made the move.
Lugano.
Yeah.
He scores that's almost exactly the same goal he scores against Lugano.
The double move was the same, but I think the Shell chance, the Mucci goal, and the Semi chance were bigger chances. I think the Immobile one was quite difficult. Like, it was the angle quite tight.
Of course.
But he cut back in and gave himself the angle. I don't know, man. I think it was. He did great.
It was difficult,
he did really well
but it was a very good attempt, though, and a good save.
Yeah. Attempt, but it was like hard. Like, I'd say that was like 4 chances we had, and is 4 chances enough at home against Kasimpaşa?
No. It's not.
Not at all.
Nobody's arguing that we played well, I think.
At the start,
just that we didn't deserve to lose 3-1.
8 chances, 9 chances, 10 chances, and to drop from that to 4, man, it's disappointing.
But I think our wing play has so much to do with that, and adding insult to injury, having Onur in this game as well. That like that further exacerbates
with
the
Onur
problem.
and Mustafa, you're basically down to 9 men.
and Masuaku playing the way he was playing.
Yeah, and
he
him
was
having a
playing
bad
for
day,
the for the other team. So it was like 9 against 12.
Yeah. That throw in the first half was like, are you trying to get them
Dude,
going? Like, what
that
are you
reminded
doing,
me
bro?
of Adriano. Adriano did that a couple of times. But
I remember that.
Adriano was a brilliant player. He did that a few times as well. And I can accept that from a guy like Adriano, but Masuaku, and then to do then what he did in the second half. What's happening? Like, dude, are you high or something? Like, seriously.
He's sniffing glue before the game or something.
With the tin edge, you think that? Anyway, accurate passes. So this was a little surprising. Not their side. In fact, we did everything we needed to on the opposite end. They only had 248 and completed them at a very low rate, 71%. So we were giving them trouble and intercepting the ball and whatnot. But the problem was, on our end, we only completed 339 passes, which is quite low for us, especially against an Anadolu side.
Yeah, we usually have around 450.
Yeah, and at a 78% rate, like we want to be up at around 85%. And at our best, that's we're ruthlessly efficient with our passing. So that was a clear signal that something was off. They committed 20 fouls. Again, that's a lot of fouls to our 14. So they learned from Galatasaray, harass us, stop play as often as you can. That's
everyone
effective.
does that against us, right? Like
it's and I bet 10 of those fouls are against Rafa. Every match. They were offsides 3 times to our once. We had 7 corners to their 5. So, again, it suggests everything statistically suggests that we should have eked out the uncomfortable win or unnecessarily uncomfortable win. And instead, somehow they beat us by 2 goals.
Or at the very least, like a painful draw or something. But
like maybe they pull back and get an equalizer against them in a play and we're pissed off. Somehow, though, we lost by 2 goals.
Yeah,
Karta, you got the duels?
Do you not think at the same time it's still annoying that, I remember looking at the stats, like these stats aren't here, but they were in our box a lot more than we were in their box, for example. Like, that's unacceptable. During the game, they showed that stat.
I didn't see that.
Basically, I don't know what it's like in America, but like obviously
touches in the opposition box. That's a stat. I can look it up if you want.
They show that stat on Turkish TV, and theirs was a lot higher than ours, and I think that's a fucking disgrace in our stadium. And the fact
I remember seeing the heat map, and it didn't look so bad. That's a little surprising for me to hear, Kartal. Honestly, I didn't see that.
Look,
although I would imagine that BeIN probably puts up the same info globally, so I probably should have noticed it.
I think we can all agree that, I said it, even the first half, was kind of like pulling teeth because we were so ineffective. Because going forward, we were so ineffective. I don't think anyone's gonna argue that we had a good game, but deserving to lose by 3-1. Let's see if I can find touches in the opposition half anywhere. Can you do the
Kartal, do the duels while he
54% of the duels, which was 64 to 54. We won 58% of the ground duels, which was 47 to 34. We won 46% of the aerial duels, which was we lost 20 to 17. Successful dribbles, we had 60%, which is actually really good. So that tells me that we probably attempted about 28 dribbles and we successfully completed 15 of them. They had 2 successful dribbles, which is don't think I've seen that.
Piss poor.
Oh yeah, here
for them.
Touches in opposition half. Beşiktaş 27 and Kasimpaşa 24.
So that's not in the box though. In the box theirs was higher,
no, touches in opposition box. Sorry, opposition box.
So we had more.
We had 3 more.
I see. Maybe that was earlier on in the game.
That must have been during the game. Yeah, we probably upped that a little bit towards the end because we were 3-1 down or something.
Yeah, because it was during the game it came up in the screen. So
No, 27-24 touches in opposition.
So maybe that's not as bad, but it's still annoying seeing that during the game. They've been in our box more than us, and they've been in our box more than we've been in theirs. It's frustrating, man. That's the reason why. See, last year, man, we were numb to it because we had no expectation. We knew from the summer that we had a shit window. The team was imbalanced. It was a bad squad. This year, okay, we knew we were lacking that winger. We knew that really we should probably have another left back and a second striker. But because of how good we were playing at the start, we all believed that this could maybe be the year. But slowly and surely, we've seen a drop off in form, and then that has trickled into the results more recently.
I think our starting 11 is as good as our rivals, or close.
Yeah.
However, we do not have a bench. And I don't think that's something they could have fixed in like they can't. I don't know how they would have to fix that, because then they would have. How many players did we bring in this summer? I don't even know. Like, how many new players did we bring? And we should have.
And also not
to
exactly, and not to nitpick Cartel, but I think I lost track of my thought. Well, we were just talking about the transfer window, right? Oh yeah. You said that we all expected to win the title because of the moves we made.
Not because
not to nitpick, but I did say that, like, I think realistically we should probably expect third place given where our rivals have come from and where we're coming from, and that we couldn't, expect magic to be, cast overnight.
I didn't say because of the moves. I said we all believed that the title could come because of how we started the season.
Yeah, I know, and I definitely I came around to the idea that we might actually be competitive, but I always still felt like
we were competitive
ultimately wishful thinking.
Until Saturday. We were competitive until Saturday. If we win that game, we're only 5 points behind. And I think.
If we beat Galatasaray, we passed them.
Exactly. We weren't. It wasn't out of the realm of possibility. I think if you have a decent ref in that game, you can win that.
I always still felt like it was going to be unlikely for us to win the title.
Yeah, but if you draw, Sinan, that's massive as well.
Of course. No, I became amenable to the possibility that we could win, but I still wouldn't say that there was ever a point where I was like, we're favorites to win the title. Just given where we've come from, right? We have so many challenges to overcome at the end of the day.
Yeah. I feel like if we go back to the podcast after the first few games of the season, I'm pretty sure we all said that we believed.
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm not going to lie.
Rightfully so.
I'm actually, I think, ironically less negative than you guys now, because I still feel like this season's not fully off the rails.
It's not, but it's.
And I think we're getting there. We're definitely getting there.
Yeah. But, the chances.
But I haven't given up.
The fact that Rasicka is out for the foreseeable future still. The fact that Chiro is out for 2 weeks. We have the Malmo game, which is... We were already building this up before that this was going to be the most important game of our season in Europe. And we're without our star striker and our only...
That's a pain.
That's a massive pain. We are without a real winger. So we're going to have to watch that pulling teeth front three. The only way we can maybe make it work if he... makes Rafa the central point or something and then puts him as a false nine. I don't know how otherwise. If he goes with a Musrati, Jetson and Ndour midfield, or Musrati, Joao Mario, Jetson midfield, and then Rafa as the striker or something like that, that could work. But if he starts with Mustafa Hekimola on Wednesday, I have no hope for points.
What if he plays Mucci up top, man?
Mucci, sure, yeah, that can work. He started off his career as a striker. That could work.
And his goal was sort of a striker's finish, right? Kind of.
But
far post, up in the air.
But but it's very painful because I feel like we have played well enough this season. I don't feel we deserve to be in the position we are in right now. I think last season, we were shit. I don't think we are a shit team. I think we played a shit game on Saturday, but I don't think we were a shit team this season. I think
the worst thing, Con, is I don't even know. We played a bad game on Saturday. We played underwhelming.
And then we had one guy sabotaging the team, essentially.
Exactly, and that's the worst part is, in fact, that it wasn't even that shit of a game. It was just I don't know, man. That sense of urgency and the aggression going forward.
Because our chance creation was abysmal.
I still feel that if we didn't give that fluke goal away, their first, we'd probably eke out an uncomfortable victory, and we're having a very different conversation about how we're still underwhelming and not good enough. But
No,
like
but
shit, I don't think we would have been saying.
I think if given the situation where Chiro had to come off at halftime, we don't have Rasichka,
Yeah.
Musrati still not back, Paulista not back, whatever. Like I think like given the confines that Gio is working with, I don't think anyone would be mad if we eked out an ugly win. I think as long as you win, we are in a period in the season for us right now, given our squad issues, where only the points matter. It doesn't matter how you play right now, I think. Like against Antep, only the points mattered. This game, only the points mattered. And the Galatasaray game, just don't lose, essentially. But the problem is we got 1 point from those 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If we beat Kasimpaşa, beat Antep, and drew with Galatasaray, we are joint top of the league just now.
Yeah.
In fact, top of the league.
And you're top. Yeah. And those were like, I mean, I think the Antep one was very avoidable because it was like literally like 60 seconds left on the clock, and we had the ball, and Masuaku again with his ridiculous cross pass that gives possession away because Rasichka can't keep it in, and now again like against Antep, Masuaku's arrogance cost us. And here it cost us again because that was a perfect example of Masuaku being arrogant. Like instead of just passing it back to the keeper or
trying to do
passing
much.
it short, keeping the ball in the team, he takes a risk. He cross passes. Look, and don't get me wrong, if that cross pass works out, you alleviate a bunch of pressure because all that pressure at that point was on the left side of the field. So if he would have passed it back to the keeper or he would have passed it short to someone else, the pressure would have stayed on because the majority of their press is there, the players are there. So what he tried to do with switching wings is alleviate the pressure. However, with 60 seconds left on the clock, I don't think you can take that risk because that ball needs to be perfect. And it wasn't. And that's what led to the goal. And now here, I don't even know what to say about this. Guys, one thing though. This was a big talking point in the media after the game, in all the after match programs, blah, blah, blah. In like I don't even know, like the 10th minute or something, or even earlier, Rafa is true on goal. Sadik Çiftpınar touches him. And Rafa goes down. Everyone in the media, all the former referees, Sergen, everyone's like, oh, that's a red card.
I think it's too soft.
I think so too. Sinan, what did you think? Did you think that was a red card?
Did he get a yellow
No,
card?
he didn't get anything, I think.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. I don't think he gave a foul. He didn't give a foul. Because if he gives a foul, he needs to give a red card. So he didn't call it.
Is it an automatic red card? Because I don't know that he necessarily stops him with intention, but
It's
he
an
clearly
automatic red card.
there was
He's true on goal. He's true on goal.
Contact.
There is contact. He touches him, but it's so light. It's so light.
It is light. I mean, that's where that strikes me as a problem with the rules, and because like you should be able to call a foul and give us a free kick without like completely derailing the match, because it's a contact that affects play and sort of robs us
I
of
don't know
potential
though.
opportunity.
I think Rafa could have stayed on his feet really easily, but the problem is he touched it, and his second touch, the ball went
I think
a
it was
little
more
far from his foot, and the keeper was out really well. Came rushing out and got the ball
Again, yeah.
And I think
Greek
that's
fella.
why Rafa goes down. For me, that's not. I don't think that's a red card, and I don't think we should be hiding behind that because I think that's. I think there's moments in the Galatasaray derby where absolutely you have to talk about and you have to criticize, and the referee definitely was wrong. I don't think this referee.
The ref was not the problem
No,
today.
I don't think so either.
Today or
whatever. I don't think so either.
You are just not good enough, man. That's it. And Masuaku, being Masuaku was just making stupid mistakes. Like it's not a game that you say, "Oh, the referee cost us." Absolutely not, man. It was completely down to ourselves, especially Masuaku. But just the performance itself, it wasn't good enough.
I feel after that, if Masuaku would go on social media and say and hold his hand up and I really think that he should have apologized. You know, Gabriel Paulista, when he gave away that penalty against Frankfurt, he apologized.
Yeah.
I think Masuaku, if he has any respect for the fans, he should have owned up to it and apologized, because I think what he did was really, really egregious, and it's not the first time this season, and he's essentially killed all of our title hopes with that boneheaded play.
Yeah, it's shocking, man.
All right, enough now, I think, about this, guys, unless you still have an egg you want to lay.
There's something
no.
we're talking about a lack of a plan B, but I think we had a very good plan A that worked very well, and we were playing amazing at the start of the season. Like, I feel like in the search for the plan B, we've lost our plan A, and I think that's a big issue as well. We need to get back to playing that football we were playing at the start.
How realistic is it to have a plan B when you do not have options on the bench?
But he keeps looking for it though. He keeps changing things, like trying not different.
Trying to find, but you also have to sort of you. That's not a bad instinct to try to find a plan B, but
when it's cost, I feel like we've lost that sense of our plan A and that search for the plan.
Yeah. But maybe for sure, there's some of that, but also a lot of it has been forced, I think, due to injuries and stuff.
Yeah, and I think you guys are both right. Yeah, 100%. I mean, part of why he's scrambling to find that plan B is because of how fucked we've been by injuries and suspensions.
I don't think you can say Gio is a one-trick pony. We just haven't seen. He doesn't have the squad to be able to say that. I don't think he has the options to really. Show us whether he is or he isn't. I don't think he is, though, because I feel like he's had some tactical decisions that worked out quite well. So I really think that the lack of a plan B is more a lack of a bench rather than anything else.
Do you think he should stop this search for a plan B? Like, because I think he started it even before.
I think Cartel, the problem is that I think the reason he's been forced into searching for the plan B is because with the injuries, it's hard to play plan A. Plus, if they overemphasize stopping Rafa, then who do you revert to as far as creation, right? And I think when you have like Rashica injured, Semi playing like crap, like
Mucci too.
Yeah, Mucci kind of hit or miss. I
mean, he scored 2 goals in the last 2 games, but it's not like he's played good. He was.
Yeah, certainly not as far as like build up and the stuff you need as a winger.
I'm still waiting to see Mucci cross the ball, let alone put in a good cross. Like every time he just tries to shoot,
he cuts in.
He doesn't, or he passes it back to Masuaku. Like cut back and cross it in. How many goals do our rivals score when one of their wingers cuts back and crosses it in and has an in-swinging cross that's so hard to defend? We never do that. We never do it.
What I'll say though is you're saying that we've been forced into it by injuries, but I can think even back to the first Lugano game, as he was trying to find that plan B. Remember, he put Rafa on the left, started with Scher. Like even then, in that game, we actually played fine offensively, but defensively we weren't very good, especially in that first half. And there was brain farts there as well from Masuaku, another example. But that plan B wasn't as effective as the plan A. He changed something there. Even against Sivasspor, before Semi got injured, they benched Semi, put on Mucci. Like he's been trying to tinker for a while. I mean, I think maybe that's fair enough at the start, but I think after
that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
maybe really stick to what.
Yeah, but then
we have lost that. We've lost our plan A in that search for that plan B.
But plan A is off the table right now anyway. Like he can't play plan A.
It's off the table. It's off the table just now because obviously the personnel's not there, but. I think even in games where we are looking like we were pretty fit, man. Like for example, look at the Abespor game. Like we had all the players available, but in the Abespor game we were shit. We didn't see that beautiful play we saw in the first month of the season. Like, that's an example.
All right, enough on the Kasimpaşa game, guys. Do you want to go to the comments, Sinan? Was there anything important? I mean,
I just want to go on the record. I think this has been a great episode. I think we've hashed a lot of stuff.
do too. Yeah.
Therapeutic.
There's still a really big topic I want to talk about, so I don't know if there's anything important. Can you just scroll through the comments? Because I think most of it was just...
Yeah, I'll go through them. I'll go through them. We could do a quick comment review. So... From the top, we've got Mario, yo. Masuaku was terrible. He was way off. Something was up with him. We all agree. Finish kebab, iyi how's it going, sir? I'm going to skip anything in Turkish. So if you're writing in Turkish, That's why we're not reading his stuff, because we're trying to go quickly today. Mario is terrible. We just gave up. Atiljan, that stat comparison turns my head towards GVB. Why is the team not being drilled to serve up Cheeto with chances? Again, I don't know if that's on Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Atiljan. We just don't have wingers.
But I really think that is something that needs to be drilled. Like both Simi and Mucci should be looking for him constantly. When they're playing on the wings, they need to be looking for him constantly. And the best way to service Chiro is with the ball in his feet or a low cross anyway. Neither of them are good at crossing the ball. But they're good. They should be, at least Simi is good in combination football, or should be. Mucci should be as well. Both of them should constantly, actively be looking for Chiro. They need to play in function of Chiro. That is the big difference at Galatasaray. Osimhen came in and everyone plays in function of him. And nobody, I feel like Chiro is playing in function of Simi. I feel like Chiro is the one trying to get Simi to score. We have it backwards. Yeah. I understand they want to get Simi off the mark, but we need to. One of our biggest weapons is Chiro and Rafa, and we need to utilize Chiro more.
Do you agree that it's Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's fault that he's not getting them?
I think that Gio needs to hammer that home in training. Yeah, I think he needs to. I think from day one, from the summer, he should have made it very important. Find Chiro, but it's so obvious we don't do it. That is definitely something I think that's on Gio. I think it is. They need to make more of a point out of that. That is one thing I will criticize Gio for. Like, we aren't playing in function of our striker, and he's a player you need to play in function of. At Lazio, they played around, like they played in function of him completely, and he scored like 25 plus goals for like 5 out of 8 seasons he spent there or something.
Yeah, I guess my only hesitation is assigning blame, because I think there's also the element of where Cheeto is coming back and trying to support the build-up a lot, and I wouldn't even say that's like, so it's
but they aren't
Cheeto's
but
fault.
You can
like maybe that's what we need, maybe that's a reaction to something that's happening on the pitch otherwise.
You can tell when a team is actively looking for a player, especially a striker, and we don't do it. Cheeto is more a lightning rod for Rafa than anything. And it's fine to play in function of Rafa, but I think you can do both.
Yeah. For me, I guess it's not as cut and dry. But anyway, let's move on. Attila John says Olcay Shahan. I think he was guessing Kartal's when Kartal was like, who am I thinking of? Attila John, Semi is a natural goal scorer, guys. He's been banging goals for years in the academy. There are many issues now, but he is a true goal scorer.
I've not seen it this season.
I'd like to think that's true. Mario Vargas, I don't think it's Semi's time just yet. He says Semi is amazing, but I think people are expecting way too much from him. To be fair, we had pretty good reason to expect a lot from him given last season.
Yeah, but I think that is true as well. But the problem isn't the fans expecting way too much of him. I think the problem is the club expecting way too much of him, because they
should have had a backup plan if he didn't.
They should know better. They should have known Simi isn't 100% ready. Simi got rattled by whatever happened in March. We need to have other options. But again, you can only bring in so many players in one window.
At the same time, man, you can see why they maybe did expect it as well, because between December and March, he was amazing. He was scoring almost every game.
But then,
I bought my best player his jersey. So.
but then since March until now, it's been consistently the same, pretty much. And I think you know what? I think the Euros really killed him. I think that he got done dirty again there.
That's fair.
If you look at Galatasaray right now, Barishal Perilmaz is in the exact same boat. I feel like he's not playing well either. But the difference is that it's not affecting them as much, because they don't expect as much from him as we do from Simi.
Next up, Arthur Jan says it wasn't even one of those games where the smaller teams sit back. They came at us and we never replied. Usually, I agree with Arthur quite frequently, but. We're like 0 for 3 here. I don't I don't agree with that.
I don't
take on the match.
They had a couple of shots and stuff like that, but I feel like we gave them most of their opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean,
It wasn't until they scored that fluke goal that was maybe
they came
reflective
at
of
us
the
a
match.
lot. I think that's fair that they came at us a lot, but maybe they didn't create much, but they definitely did come at
Yeah,
us
they
a
were
lot.
passing the ball around quite well and all that. They had good.
They weren't afraid,
No, yeah.
I guess.
No.
But I mean, look at the stats. They obviously didn't complete that many passes. So I mean, anyway, it is what it is. I don't think they played exceptionally well.
mean,
That's my disagreement. I don't think they were good at all. In fact, I think we basically handed them this match, especially with that first goal. And then from there on, we just kind of like put our head in the sand. I don't think so. Anyway,
And
next,
I felt like
Mario
the only
Vargas.
player who didn't drop his head when we went 2-1 down was Rafa. And
Yeah,
Jetson,
of course.
maybe,
I mean, yeah.
But like everyone else just hung their heads.
Yeah. And that's Mario Vargas. Like I said, we gave up. Yeah, I think we all agree there. Onur Bulut needs to be transferred. Yeah, I mean, he really was.
He was so close.
He was like a training cone.
He was going to Beşiktaş.
He was on their second
so
goal.
happy he was gone, and then we kept him, and I was like, "What are we doing? No, play a youth player.
Any backup,
something."
anyone that could have stepped in for
Oh
him.
my
Come on.
god! I mean, look,
Like that would have been a John Kelesh. Like anyone, try something else now because Onur Bulut
like
was already
paying
like a failed
2 million
version of
euros for Bunyanin Balci would have been essentially like a Kerem Atakan Kesgin thing as well. But like, we should have been able to find a young, I don't know, man. But Onur is, I want him gone, man.
Not it.
He is so not a Beşiktaş player. Like he's so.
No.
But the problem is as well. Like now, like one of the issues I'm foreseeing for January and for next summer is with this new foreign limits coming or new foreign rule. I don't exactly know if there's still going to be a limit because now it's like I don't know. But like, what are we like? I don't see players in the Turkish market that we can realistically bring in to.
Yeah, we're in a bad
Yeah.
place if they do this. Because like there's been so little emphasis on developing Turkish talent
Like if
for whatever reason.
that rule, if that rule removes the 14 foreigner cap completely, and you can bring in as many under 23s as you want, then actually it's not that bad. But if it still has a limit, like I mean, because one of the biggest issues I'm seeing right now is how are we going to. Like our squad depth is such a big issue, and how are we going to solve that? I don't see players on the Turkish market right now that we can realistically bring in without having to play through our noses. And even then, like there aren't that many exciting Turkish players. I feel.
I'm pretty sure the limit's been lifted completely.
Okay.
But in return, you can only sign under 20.
Yeah, but at least then you can say, okay, we're gonna get some kids from we're gonna get some good. Young French players in Ligue 2 or something. Then you don't have to spend 2 million euros for a shitty Turk. You can spend 2 million euros for a Sacha Boey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can actually go and get a talented player from a French club or something.
Yeah.
I still think 23 is too low, man. I think it should be like 28 or something.
I agree with you, man. Yeah.
Like at least like 26.
Well, I think
anyway.
this rule, and for the record, for people who don't know what we're talking about, so they're gonna implement a new foreign rule next season, and the new foreign rule is, as far as we understand, that you can bring in as many foreigners as you want as long as they're under 23 years old, or if they're older than 23, they need to have you can bring in 3 players older than 23, but they have to have played 75% of the matches for their national team over the last year. So that's crazy. So that's like if that little caveat wouldn't be there, if it would just be you can bring in 3 players older than 23, I would be fine with this. I would be fine.
Yeah.
But that 75% caveat essentially means no more Brazilians, no more Argentinians, no more Spaniards, no more any good nation, because those players are not coming to Turkey. So you are essentially we are relegated to signing players at best who play for like the Swiss national team or something. And even then, like the Swiss national team, like Mbolo is not exactly realistic for us. You know what I mean? It's a really bad change. But in that regard, if they completely lifted the foreign limit and we can actually bring in a bunch of young under 23s, like instead of crappy Turks, that's actually a good side of it. But I don't even know if that's the case because I want to see that rule properly in action first. Sorry, can continue, Sina.
No problem. So Erdal SN, who you mentioned, is a new replier, commenter. Anyway,
Follower,
Merhaba, what will happen?
Subscriber.
Yes, yeah. Follow, subscribe, like, please. It says Merhaba, what will happen on Wednesday? Do you think Beşiktaş will buy?
No, it means does he think we'll get the game, like win the game?
Oh, is that like a Turkish translation thing?
Yeah, so he's saying, oyunu is to win the game, really. But see, if you were to translate it, it'd be directly to get the game or to buy the game.
So it's like an idiom. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Khan, I think, is a little bit pessimistic about Wednesday.
Yeah, sure.
I still have to watch the Malmo preview, so I can't say I'm
just clinched the title in Sweden last week. They played Hammarby this weekend. I don't know what they did, which was the number 2 in the league. And they haven't been good in Europe because they got knocked out by Sparta Prague without a chance, 2-2-0. They lost at home twice already. In the 3 games they played so far, they lost at home twice. They won away against Karabakh. That's their only win. So they haven't been in great form in Europe. So for me, really, this is a team we should be beating. But without Chiro and with the morale of the team at a very low point, I expect, I just don't know. I feel like we're going down a negative spiral right now. Like we see in this game when we conceded the heads went down. That's what we had last season as well. And I feel like as if Malmo score first or something, I don't.
It could go poorly.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, see, I'm of two minds on this because I feel like we were on a downward spiral. Then I feel like we were on the path to righting the ship. Even against Galatasaray, I thought we were pretty solid. And then yeah, I mean, this week was again like we're back to collapsing. So
this is,
I don't know where we are on this path.
Malmo,
it could be up here.
Yeah. Malmo is going to be either the total collapse or the turning point to get us out of this negative slump, and then hopefully that goes on to a good result on Sunday, I think, against Başakşehir. Was it Başakşehir away Sunday?
Yeah, Başakşehir Sunday. At 11 a.m. for me.
Fortunately, Başakşehir are in bad form themselves, but still, without Chiro, I don't know, man. I don't have a lot of hope. I am hoping Wednesday, I think, is going to be very important for Gio's future because I think he needs to show that he has a plan. Putting Mustafa Hekimolo in the lineup, that is not a plan. That is just
no.
That is not the answer. If on Wednesday he comes out with Simi as a striker, Rafa as a striker, something like that, a very good midfield with Musrati, Jetson, Joao Mario, Ndur, Jetson, Joao Mario, something like that, if Musrati isn't fit. But if he comes out with something like that, okay, and we then still lose because the team just lost all belief or whatever, okay, but at least then but if he comes out with the same lineup essentially, just Svensson for Onur and Mustafa for Chiro, then I don't even want to watch the game then. I will.
And in that vein, Carlito said, perfect opportunity for Gio to show his strategic skills. The upcoming lineup, time for him to show he's worthy of the coach title. Yeah, I agree. Do go backwards a little bit though to finish up all the chats because we're almost done.
If we
said,
win,
merhaba arkadaşlar. Siz Türkçe biliyor musunuz? I assume. Anyway,
if we know Turkish.
We've already addressed that too many times.
But,
yes and no.
If we win on Wednesday, I think that's a massive feather on Gio's cap, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, that would be huge. Yeah, because he has everything going against him at present.
Yeah. I think that would be a massive feather on this cap.
So then Atiljan says, I need this rant right now, boys. Let it out. And then Mario said, we're screwed. He said, Atiljan goes, Femi being completely disregarded as a striker makes 0 sense. I mean, maybe. He's been on such poor form. I
don't know, man. Like
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I feel like Gio tried it in the summer. And,
he must have,
and also, we tried it a few times last season, and it did not work.
I don't think he has
Cartel,
like,
maybe
the
you
aerial
want to
presence.
comment on that, on Simi, on Gio not trying Simi as a striker at all? Because you keep walking off.
I just needed a pee, man.
Hold it like a proper man. What is this? Pee in
And
a
I'm
ball.
holding it in right now. I'm holding it in.
That's not good for you, man. You need to get it out.
We're
No,
almost done.
I think Jimmy should at least try it, man, because although he wasn't maybe like starting the games as a striker, I think last season a lot of his goals came through the middle. So I think it's definitely something that should be explored more, especially in Immobile's absence. But I'm also for Rafa playing as a false nine or trying Mucci. But I think
There we go.
Semi should definitely get a look in as well. I think it's something that should be tried for sure.
I'm with Con. I'm not sure if I'm sold. Hey, I'm hearing myself. What's going on over there?
That might be on Capital's end. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Kata, you got the volume up for us? Or something? Anyway, I just went away, so I guess we're fine now. And then he says, Onuachu would have been a great substitute. A target man on the bench would have been so helpful right now. I hate to argue with you, but I think if we had gotten Onuachu, he would have absolutely been for a starting role because of his price
Look,
tag.
I'm all for Onuachu, but like that's not a second striker, man. That's a starter.
Yeah, and that's Finnish Kebab says Onuachu would be starting material. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he left it. I think he's still at Southampton, isn't he, Onuachu? So you know what?
Maybe we can
we
get
should
him.
totally go for him in January. Like there were some rumors actually today that Saudi club Al Ahly, I think, want Chiro.
It wants Chiro
I'm not in favor
for 10 mil.
I'm not in favor of selling Chiro. Like I think you did a poll, Kartal, and I voted yes on it because I just think that it's too much money to say no again to realistically. At the same time, unless you have like a really, really, really good alternative coming in, and you got that lined up, I think it's very risky to especially as well. I think Chiro is more than just our striker, man. I think off the pitch he's also really important.
He's a leader.
Onuachu has played 4 games and scored 0 goals, and 0 assists for Southampton this season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he would be realistic. But like,
yeah, maybe that's even affordable.
If you can
suddenly.
offload Ox, Onana, and who else? Ox, Onana, and
Who are we forgetting?
who else do we need to get rid of?
Who are we forgetting?
I don't know.
Ox, Onana,
Ox, Onana,
let's see.
Masuaku, get rid of him.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, get a new wing back in for Masuaku. Get a new right winger in for Onana, and then get a new striker in for.
That's what we said. We said Ox, Onana, and Mucci. We should get rid
Yeah,
of.
if you can sell Mucci.
Oh, Mucci, yeah. Mucci, you can get a price
If you
tag
can
for
sell
him. maybe, too.
Mucci,
Yeah, that'd be good.
dump Masuaku, get rid of him. I'm done with him, man.
That'd be 4. Now we're
That'd
talking
be
4.
four,
That'd
but
be 10.
I mean, if you could then bring in Onuachu, that would be pretty insane. But then, like, look, if you have Chiro and Onuachu, like, I don't think Onuachu would be happy sitting on the bench, honestly. But he would be perfect.
and vice
He would
versa.
be perfect for that plan B, though. He would be absolutely perfect for it. Oh my God, you got me!
Yeah,
you got me dreaming now. Who was it? Atlijan? Was it Atlijan who said that?
Yeah, that's it.
Atli,
Yeah.
bro, you just got me dreaming, man. Because I don't know, like anyone who's been following our podcast for a long time knows I'm a huge Onuachu fan. Because
Onuachu
he used
guy.
to play for
You are,
my
yeah.
for my favorite club in Belgium for Genk, and he was such a monster, man, absolute monster. And we saw it at
And that's
Trabzon last
it.
season.
I think that's it.
All right,
Oh, he was great for Trabzon.
all right then.
And they could use him.
Definitely.
Anyway.
Big topic for the rest of the podcast, then, boys. So obviously Wednesday.
Yeah, we're done with the
Obviously
comments. by the way.
Wednesday, Malmö, super important game. But then the next European game, we are against Maccabi Tel Aviv, and it's just been announced officially today that game will be played at a neutral venue. So, and apparently, it's not even UEFA making this decision. It's the Turkish government. The Turkish government have sold us out. I feel like they've sold Beşiktaş out. You've got 8 games in this European campaign. 4 of them are at home. That home advantage is so important. And look, okay, maybe at a neutral venue, I still think we beat them. But I imagine if we don't. Like you
It'll
can't
be a-
just
it'll
you
be a
can't.
scandal.
I think it's absolutely scandalous. And honestly, if UEFA even had the remotest clue that they would have to demand guarantees from the Turkish government for Maccabi's safety, why on earth is it even an option then for a Turkish
Exactly.
club?
They shouldn't be playing.
No, exactly.
Ridiculous.
When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2014, ever since 2014, because that was the first invasion, they Ukrainian and Russian clubs have been unable to play each other in Europe until 2020, when obviously the full on offensive started and Russia got banned. But like 6 years, every Champions League draw, every Europa League draw, Ukrainian and Russian clubs were separated. So why is Maccabi Tel Aviv and still an option for a Turkish club then? It's just not.
If they're playing these political games.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's not fair. And then also they're talking about playing this game in Serbia.
It's going to be
Why Serbia?
Yeah, how is that helpful for
Play
us?
it in-
Didn't they commit? They committed a genocide against Muslims over there, didn't they? Like,
play
what?
the game in Germany then. Play it in Germany.
Yeah.
But the problem is then Germany aren't going to want that. But then
Yeah,
you
'cause
come
they're
then
all-
you come at the center of all this. If Germany won't do that, why are these clubs in UEFA competition then? If safety cannot be guaranteed by a full-fledged EU member. Like, so for me, if you're gonna play this as a neutral venue because Turkey won't guarantee safety, okay. Play the game in Germany then, where there's 3 million Turks that can attend the game, so you don't completely sell out our home field advantage. Because I don't know, if you play this game in Belgrade, I don't know how many Beşiktaş fans are realistically gonna go there.
I think it's going to be in Budapest. From what I've read, they're expecting
How is
that? What is going on?
Budapest. That is where Maccabi and all these Israeli clubs right now are playing their home matches. They're playing their home matches in Hungary, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know that.
So
That's
essentially, we go from a home game to an away game, then, right?
Ridiculous.
I don't know that detail, bro. I don't know they played
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
and look,
Look,
I want to go on the record right now as saying that I have so much to say about this, and I mean, you guys know politically, I have a lot of opinions, strong opinions.
yeah, I mean,
I don't want to say what I'm thinking. Basically, is where I'm going with this, because
obviously
I find we're essentially rewarding an Israeli side
They play
by taking them out of a very, like, our strength is our home crowd, you know, like, at least in the minds of people outside of our league, right? They fear playing us at home, so we're rewarding an Israeli team for what? Because their government is doing what? Like, why do they get a reward for that?
Yeah, look.
I'm trying not to
think
talk. I don't want. There's so much to say.
For the players, the coaching staff of the club, of course, you need to be able to 100% guarantee their safety. I understand that. And in Turkey, there is a lot of stuff, man, going on there. Like,
Sure.
I understand
no.
they cannot, but like, at least then play the match in Germany or something.
And I looked into it. Maccabi are playing their home games in Belgrade, so that's
Belgrade, okay.
the proposal of Serbia would be a home game for them essentially.
I mean, obviously, home game is between, you know, because how many fans? I mean, at the end of the day, they're still only gonna get X amount of tickets, and we're gonna get 95% of the tickets. But
It'll be a stadium, they know, if it was to be Belgrade though. But from what I've heard, actually, our board are putting for Hungary, Budapest.
play the match. Why would you want Hungary? Or why would you want the Balkan? Go play it in Germany. Then you have a packed stadium, guaranteed. I'd go. I think if I can make it work, but I try to go. And so like then at least then you play it in in Gelsenkirchen, and you have 50,000 fans in the stadium.
Look, Serbia would be criminal because I mean that would actually probably end up being hostile for our fans given their history with Islam and
I don't think.
I mean they're scoring Nazi symbols into their midfield of their pitches and stuff.
Are massive fans of Turks either, man.
I just know like Serbia would be a bridge too far. Hungary is. I mean, look. At the end of the day, all of this is absurd. Like the idea that we would be punished as a Turkish team, we're not even involved in this war. Like we have nothing to do with this geopolitical scenario. Yeah. There's a million countries that have admonished the Israeli government and stopped giving them money and weaponry. Like most of Europe is already in that camp now.
Yeah.
I mean. I don't even know why UEFA is being so chicken shit about banning Israeli sides, given their own precedent that they've established for an aggressive nation creating a war that's unsettling a region.
That's a completely different argument. I don't want to be besmirching anything like that because we still have. I still want to be able to do an interview with somebody for the game for the preview. I don't want to be.
Look. I have, this is. I'll tell you a personal story, guys. So I'm trying to set up a travel team for these girls that I'm coaching. One of the girls is Israeli. We just learned, and all the other girls asked her, like they're all asking each other, "Where are you from? Where are you from?" My daughter said she's Turkish. And she goes, "I'm Israeli, but please don't stop being my friend because I'm from Israel." Because a lot of people have done that, and that made me feel terrible because as a kid, it's like there's no. Look,
of course. No,
I've always been in the larger sense of things. Like people are people. We're all freaking human beings. Like I'm not gonna hate someone inherently because they're from a place. Like there's a lot of toxicity around the issue. I don't want to go there. But at the end of the day, like UEFA has set a precedent. For how they deal with wartime situations. I don't know what they're doing, playing both sides of the coin.
It's the same with Russia. I mean, Russia. Like, not every Russian is a genocidal maniac or anything like that. Like the same thing's true for every Israeli. And like, there's. I don't want to get into a political debate or anything like that. Like, there's obviously there's a very difficult situation, but in football, I think if there's a scenario where these Israeli teams, their safety cannot be guaranteed, then they should not be playing in the UEFA competition right now.
I agree.
Yeah, and again, that's also like if it was the flip side, right? Let's say if it was like Ukrainian clubs, right? You can't secure like that's one thing, right? Because they're being attacked by someone else. It's like fully like it's not like they want to be in this war, right? But in the case of Israel, like they're the aggressor too. They're the ones who are kind of insistent on this war continuing. So it's very hypocritical for everyone else to essentially be punished to accommodate a club from a country that is
starting
a war,
committing
a war crime.
If our board really had balls, they'd say play it in Switzerland. Play the game in Switzerland.
Yeah. The pure neutral.
No, the home of UEFA, because UEFA is based in Switzerland. Play the game in Switzerland. You still get a full stadium because all the Turks from Austria, Germany, Switzerland, France, Belgium, they'll all come down. You'll still have a home game. And then if Switzerland cannot guarantee safety, who can? Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect.
So I don't think any of this bullshit compromising shit like Hungary, no. Germany, Austria. I mean, Austria. Yeah. Okay, Austria, Germany and Austria. Maybe not Germany and Austria, but Switzerland, France, Belgium, Netherlands, all fine options. Play it in the UK. But why Hungary or Serbia? No.
Celtic Park. Yeah. I'll go. Brooks.
It's got to benefit. It's got to be a place where at least there's a large diaspora.
We'll make a live broadcast from the stands. We'll all go over. We'll buy a GoPro. We'll be live there, live reactions or something. I'm making wild promises now, but Come on.
I would fly to Scotland. No, I'm kidding. I mean, that would probably be super expensive. No, look, it's hard to have this conversation without getting into the politics, and I think it's why probably none of us really wants to do too much of this.
Well, I think,
and like,
you know what? I don't think one side of me is like, I don't think the football players of Maccabi Tel Aviv or any Israeli club should be punished. I don't think those clubs aren't waging a war. However, the same applies for Russian clubs if you apply that logic. Like, those players aren't responsible for that war. Other than Zenit, who is Gazprom and blah blah blah. But like, the majority of Russian clubs aren't responsible. But
look, Khan. Look, at the end of the day, if the logic is that you have a club that's a part of a footballing association, and that association, of course, inevitably has, like, look at Turkey right now. Like, we're being told what to do by our own government somehow, right? Like, there is an inevitable link between, like, the government and the association, and then theoretically the clubs. So if anyone's going to be inconvenienced in the name of like a war, right, it should be the club whose association is under the government that's committing, like, doing the war. Like, again, we don't even need to have that debate. Like, I think at the end of the day, I think we all recognize that there's absolutely no logic for us being punished because to accommodate anyone. Like, there's no logic for us being punished, period, in the name of whatever this is.
Yeah, I think that's what it feels like, and these are two extremely crucial matches for our European campaign. Like, if we can win these games, we have 9 points, and then we are most likely in the top 24 and would go on to the next round. But like, these two games are super, super important for us. Like, a loss of points in either the Malmo or the Maccabi game could be detrimental, especially if we lose points against Malmo. Then that Maccabi game becomes a do or die situation, and I feel like the fact that our home field advantage is just pulled out from under us feels extremely unfair. And if anything, the essence of sport is fairness, right? Sports should always be fair. At least there should be a level playing field. Obviously, certain players are better than others, but like, the play field should be like, you can't play one game on a pitch that's half the size of the other, or like smaller goals or whatever. Like, it should always be the same. And I feel like a home field advantage is one of those very essential parts of football. And Beşiktaş, as a club, have done nothing to warrant their home field advantage being pulled out from under them. And it is just that. It is unfair. That's the end of it. It's not a fair situation, and they're doing us dirty. And UEFA, at the end of the day, whether the Turkish government is the reason or not, UEFA still made it possible for us to draw an Israeli side, and therefore they are responsible. Period. You guys still there? Oh,
yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my daughter just showed up and was very
fucked up. Says,
annoying.
Like, we shouldn't be made to suffer because of what's going on in another country. I don't agree with it at all. I think the solution is simple. If you don't think Israeli teams are safe in Turkey, you should stop them from, like, to make it impossible for them to draw each other.
Yeah, exactly. I think this would. I think if this was Bayern München, then things would be very different. Then I think if UEFA felt like if there was any inclination that the Israeli side would not be safe in Spain or in France or in Germany or in England, then I think it would be very different. Then they wouldn't be in UEFA competition. I don't think they would ever bend over like this for a club from a major league. I think the only reason that this is happening is because it's a Turkish club. I don't think this would be happening otherwise.
I agree.
Anyway, stay tuned, guys. Wednesday is a new game against Malmo, a super important match. Go check out our preview that we recorded last week. It should be live since Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So it should be on our YouTube channel right now. You can go check out our Malmö preview. I had a very pleasant conversation with my guest, and his name is eluding me. That is terrible. Let me just look up in my phone quickly. But I'm just fully in the... Niklas Jarelind. Super nice guy. He was super self-conscious about his English, and I thought he was brilliant. His English was perfect. So leave a nice comment. Tell him his English was good, because I really thought it was. He was a super nice guy. Also messaged me afterwards for some little tidbits and stuff like that. He's actually a commentator for one of the major Swedish channels in Sweden that have the Allsvenskan League. And used to have the Europa League, so he actually had a very cool story to tell of last time we played Malmö, when he was live in the stadium commenting on the match. He has a very cool little anecdote from that game. Just like Alexandra Jonsson had a very cool anecdote from years and years and years ago when we played Malmö back in like 2005 or something like that. He also had a very... Niklas also had a very nice little anecdote, so definitely go watch that episode of our Europa League previews. So that match is on Wednesday, 16:30 Central European time or 18:30 Turkish time. For you, Sinan, that'll be very early, I imagine. That's like, what is that?
It was 10:30 a.m. is what it was being advertised as. I wonder, yeah, it's still 10:30, so I guess we're on the same
10:30
daylight savings
10:30
situation.
on the East Coast for you, Sinan. So
On a Wednesday.
what is that on the West Coast then? Because I think Atılcan is
7:30 a.m.
is Atılcan in the West Coast?
He's from Chicago, but there was another guy in the group who's on the West Coast. One of the older fellas.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sunshine Man. I think Sunshine Man might be on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Although he's in Philadelphia, that's East Coast, isn't it? I think he's in Philadelphia.
That is on the East Coast.
Yeah,
But there's definitely someone over there.
His son is on the West Coast, I want to say. So,
Like Ilke, who's in Indiana, he's going to be watching. I think that's probably the same time zone as Atılcan, and so that's probably they're going to be watching at 9:30, maybe 8:30
that's like
if
Central
it's like one
Europe.
over.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, good luck to those of you on the other side of the world. For those of us in Europe, it's actually not a great time either. Like, I have no problem with 16:30. I'm able to watch that. But like for a lot of people, like for you, Kartal, that's 3:30 in the afternoon. That's pretty shit.
I finish work at 4:30, so I'll just have my MacBook on beside my work laptop and watch it like that. But it's not ideal. The second half, I'm able to watch with full concentration, because my shift will be done by then. But it's not ideal. I'd much rather a 6 o'clock kick-off or a 8 o'clock kick-off. It'd be a lot better, but oh well, there's not much I can do.
Hey guys, I have a question. While we're talking about time zones and whatnot, so previously all of the Super League games were on at 1 p.m. here in New York.
Yeah.
Like the later weekend game. Now they're on at 11 a.m. How did they jump 2 hours forward?
Well, because the game is an hour earlier in Turkey because it's winter now. So
I see.
So,
So
it's not
that
so it's not that warm
so
anymore. And,
it was the summer hours.
And then
I guess.
they don't do daylight savings time.
Oh, that's what it is.
So that's where you get that.
That's the extra hour.
Yeah,
Actually,
the extra hour. Yeah.
Oh god.
Actually, they did do daylight savings time until 2015.
Yeah.
They changed.
Yeah, it was a new choice. That's interesting. So yeah, they're on at 11 now, which is good on multiple levels, I guess, for me, because
in the weekend, that's not a problem, right?
Yeah, and we're back to playing on Sundays. I mean, if we played on Saturdays like we did last week, I wouldn't miss the game like I did, because our games don't start till 12:30, so I could like watch the second half like while we're walking to the field, you know. But
still not ideal.
Not great. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll stay on Sundays. That would be ideal. But yeah, so huge matches upcoming. Obviously, Malmo at 10:30 a.m. and then Beşiktaş here at 11 a.m. for me on Sunday. I mean, this could be it for our season, right, guys? Like 2 wins and we're back. 2 losses and we're out.
I feel like you have to save the "we're back" this week for next week. Hopefully for Friday.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully a win on Wednesday, and then we'll see you again on Friday. Well, whether we win, draw, or lose, we'll see you again on Friday
That's right. Yeah, we'll be back before Beşiktaş.
We'll be back before the Başakşehir game. But 2 crucial games coming up. We were starting our easy schedule, guys.
I know.
We were 5 like this month we were like 5 games and like all were in Istanbul or something like that or
Yeah, we finally had the luck of the draw.
Oh, and like our schedule, like we didn't have the hardest games but you know what? Maybe the fact that we are playing so many home games now will be a godsend because it will imagine if we'd have to go away now on top of all of this. We'd have to like go away like 3 times in a row or something. So at least it gives us a little bit of a lifeline, but at the same time it also gives you the opportunity to completely tank your season. So
Collapse.
let's stay positive for
Knock on wood.
Wednesday and for Sunday. Guys, thank you for joining me. This was a long one. You know what?
I know we managed to talk for a while. I think we needed this. We needed this, obviously.
I really, I was really dreading it. And I don't know if you guys know, I've been doing this Dutch podcast as well lately about Turkish football. And it's like, if we're playing well and we're winning and all that kind of stuff, it's fine to do 3 podcasts a week. But like in this situation, it's like, I just want to shut my brain off and like remove myself a little bit so I can focus on other things. So I'm not constantly thinking about it and then having like 3 nights a week having to talk about it. It's like, oh my God.
It's right there. I think this was good for us all. We needed to get this all out of our system.
Yeah. That's a good reason to support us on Patreon because we do this in good and in bad days. İyi günde, kötü günde. Go to patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast. Become a Patreon member today for more Beşiktaş content. I don't know if you want that right now, but maybe it can be a little bit therapeutic to hear.
What else are you gonna listen to, folks? Like some silly podcast about politics? What's happening politically in the world right now? Nothing.
You're gonna watch Sergen shit on Rafa, shit on Ndur, shit on everyone, shit on Gio, shit on Nuri Sahin, but then be absolutely adamant about the fact that Sadık Çiftpınar should have been sent off. You know what? I don't know about you guys, but I really have the impression that you can't trust any of these pundits in Turkey anymore because it feels like they are out to create controversy. Like because it generates ratings for them. So
I think the fall of Sercan Dikme was instructional. I think for how we can view journalists in Turkey in general, right?
Another thing, that Joker with his, the board are having an extraordinary meeting after the match, like everyone thinking that Gio was going to get sacked or something. I would have been seriously pissed off if that would have been the case.
Yeah, same. 100%.
All right. That'll do it for this episode. Thank you for joining me, boys. Thank you for joining us live as well. If you're new to our podcast, to our YouTube channel, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to audio podcasts, don't forget to hit that subscribe button or whatever button it has. And leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Share us with your friends. I think a lot of you actually listen to our podcast and you have Beşiktaş supporting friends. Tell them about the Black Eagles podcast. It really helps us to keep going, to see you guys joining us in the live chat, to see you guys joining us on WhatsApp and the community, communicating with us on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, giving us feedback. The appreciation of all of you is also tremendously appreciated by us. So thank you very much. Don't forget to check out patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast if you want to support us through any other means. It's just $1.99 a month. And you get some extra content in exchange. But the main reason is just to support us, to keep on doing what we're doing, because it does take a lot of time, effort, and organization to keep this going. We are the only Turkish club with a consistent English talk show.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's definitely correct.
And
shall I take over, Khan?
Yes,
you ready for
sir,
this?
Please.
So, as Khan was alluding to, if you're new to the podcast, like, follow, and subscribe. Also, if you're new to the podcast, brace yourself and start yelling, "Let's go, Beşiktaş!" Peace out. We're coming back. We got this. Don't give up. That's a tradition. So if you did a little jump scare, happy Halloween too. A little late, but never too late for Halloween candy.
And thanks to our Patreon, Sinan.
Yes, and thank you, Ozcan Zerzavati, Zinar Bilek Ozcan Our, Paul O'Connor, Atiljan Malak, who I usually agree with. Sorry, Atiljan, I didn't mean to be such a hard ass today. Dara Hensey, 1 and a 2 and a 3, Keith Gregory, and of course, the ever-present Dutch Eagle. Peace out, everyone.
Man,
Thank you.
The 1
for
and the 2 and the
following.
3, it took me ages to figure that out. I thought it was Biranda, Ikianda, Uchanda. and then it dawned on me, it's just 1 and a 2 and a 3.
Yeah, 1 and a 2. I wonder if he's like a musician, whoever that is. Anyway, peace out, everyone. We'll be back. Don't worry.